Ta-da! There. Now we're on the internet again. Awesome. So, hello, internets. Wave to the internets, everybody. Hi, internet.
Hi, interwebs.
Welcome to another Paradigm Shift Radio After Party Conscious Conversation Hangout. And yeah, tonight on the show we hit upon a lot of things. It was sort of themed around just seeing where the conversation would go. It was a group discussion. We talked about like intuition. We talked about just health and nutrition. We talked about lucid dreaming. We talked about like DMT secretion from the pineal gland and all sorts of cool stuff. So, does anybody want to jump in on just anything that they had come to mind, whether listening to the show that they want to bring to this extra
Alright, can you guys
bonus?
hear me?
Andy, you're back. We can hear you.
Yeah, but like somehow can you see me?
No, we can't see you. Okay. Andy, you can figure that out, I'm sure. But yeah, just passing the stick around. Does anybody have anything?
Well, you said you were talking about intuition.
Yeah. Did you hear that? You were talking
No, I kind of was late, but on that subject, what's kind of funny is I've actually had two friends this week in the same day say they had a feeling something was wrong with me, and one of them said they had a feeling I was coming back into their life.
Okay.
The second one, I haven't talked to in 2 years, and that the day that some other stuff happened, my role play brother, he had a feeling something was going to happen, and my Facebook account got disabled. Which really sucks, because I made somebody mad, and she basically reported me until I got kicked off Facebook. And then my friend David, we stopped talking 2 years ago, and he had a feeling that I was going to come back, and I started talking to him because I was going through another Facebook, deleting messages, and so.
Yeah, it's really interesting how synchronicity exists through Facebook and social networking too. Even in the sense of like, on the big picture of things, I was thinking about this the other day. How it's interesting how sometimes we'll do something and it may seem very simple to us, like we don't really like think much about it, but it'll end up resulting in something that will like shift a major role in someone else's life, or will like play an essential, like we'll fill a role, we'll fill like some sort of like plot device that has to occur that will end up like shifting something in someone else's reality, sort of thing. It's kind of like what you were saying about how because or just one thing leading to another sort of thing. But when we were actually talking on the show, I apologize because I mistook. We were actually talking more so about deja vu, not just intuition, but specifically deja vu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, deja vu. I mean, if anybody.
That's a horrible thing to have when you have it all the time, and then you're like, I already know what's going to happen, especially when it comes to movies. I can't watch a movie anymore because I already know. Yeah, I already know what's going to happen with a lot of movies. I'm like, I've already seen this. Crap! I need to walk away.
Does it really feel like that? Like, honestly?
Yeah, for me, because like I'll be sitting there in a movie theater watching a movie that just came out, and I'm like, wait, I already know what's about to happen. I've already seen this.
That's kind of weird. I never thought about that. Like, the downside of deja vu would be like,
well,
stuff.
I don't think it's anything unusual, because here's something that I want to tell you guys that happens to me a couple of days ago.
Go ahead, Andy. Yeah.
Alright, this is what happens, is when I was evaluated by a psychologist that my mom's attorney referred to when my parents were in the middle of the divorce, somehow, when I walk into his room, like first day, I had that feeling that I felt very uncomfortable in my stomach, like where my dantian is. It was so bad the first day I met him. At first I tried to like, happy to try to like cover it up, but then somehow it keeps coming back that I don't know why, but I can sense that something's not right about this psychologist. And then next thing you know, when I came back to be tested, psychologically tested to see what happened, I somehow, that stomach ache just keeps on getting worse and worse to the point where there's this one time when I go eat sushi on the very last day of my testing, like I had to go to the bathroom and somehow I was having a bad diarrhea the whole entire time. And when I got back from the results, I found out that I was right all along that this psychologist is just so judgmental that he actually labeled me with Asperger, and he told me that I will be diagnosed for life with it. Like,
Sorry, I don't know if
can
I
you
was
guys
following that.
imagine how serious that is? I'm not joking. Like, think about being thrown into pills for life.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, yeah. There was somebody I saw posting about that just the other day. They're just like, the doctor gave me pills, and I feel like shit. You know, but like that's probably way more common than normal.
I know at
Sorry,
least.
or go ahead. Whatever.
No, if you're gonna.
I wasn't gonna. I was just gonna say, Andy, if you had more to say, if not, yeah, just sure.
Okay.
Go.
Well, no, I know at least. I can't really say as much recently, but I know when I was little, I would have deja vu all the time, and it was funny because at the time I really didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? But it was just like it was all the time when I was younger, and as I get older, I don't know if I can really. I mean, if it's really or how it's really coming to effect, or how it's being affected now that I'm getting more in touch with all of these other things. But it's kind of like I guess a double deja vu, if that makes sense at all. I know a lot for me. It's just kind of like if sitting down into myself, if you will, like when you sit somewhere, like when you sit down somewhere, and then it's like you sit into yourself, like you just, I guess, come into, the moment or the situation, what have you, and it's just like, oh wow, that feeling of familiarity, like you've done this before, you've been here before. This is just like that overwhelming sense of, yeah, this is really, really familiar.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, but somehow my familiarity and like that sense of like I feel like so hypersensitive to the point where I was about to feel threatened. I feel like I need to run for my life whenever I see a psychologist.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
In fact, yeah, like I don't know about you guys when you guys talk about clairvoyance, about deja vu, but like seriously, somehow when I come to a psychologist where I have this massive deja vu that something is going to happen to me, although I can't visualize it, but somehow in my gut, it's like as though I got that bad stomach ache or that sense of depression all of a sudden.
Yeah, yeah, Andy. I actually had a psychologist who I barely met and barely knew, and he was pushing for shock therapy on me.
That's pretty extreme.
I know.
Like that's like from 0 to like 10. That's wow.
Yeah, I was like I was 19.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? 17?
I don't know. I can't remember how old I was. 18, 19.
Oh my God. Dude, if I were you, I would do whatever you can to kick that psychiatrist or psychologist out of your way, man. Get his ass off of you.
Yeah, I did not like the dude at all. Like, but I barely even knew him. I barely even met him. I had to go to the hospital for depression once, and he wasn't my regular doctor or my regular psychologist or psychiatrist or anything that I've seen before, and that's what he was pushing for. And luckily, I did not have to go through that.
Oh, good. Because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I went to this psychologist, whenever I told him about how I was feeling so bad in religious education, he's like, "You don't seem to fit with the social norm." And the reason why and he did have a chance to explain to me why I got diagnosed with Asperger. It turns out is I was right at the border between not Asperger and Asperger, but somehow I'm more of the not Asperger. But he decided to throw me in for the not for the Asperger, so that way he can just like get my father's support for me, When in reality, all I need is just finance. That's all. Whoever feel like if they're enjoying it, just do it. That's all I want.
Yeah, well, something that I realize is like I find this true with people who are diagnosed with bipolar. I like to talk to some more people with I've been diagnosed with bipolar and stuff. But like you realize like at some point in this world that everything is screwed up, and you grow up with a notion of everybody knows more than you. Your parents know more than you. All the adults know more than you. Anybody older knows more than you, and they're all right and correct. And then as you get older and older, and into high school, I started realizing that everyone's an idiot, and no one knows what's going on. And you try to run away from the norms because you don't agree with what the norms are in an upside-down world. And you get called the crazy one for questioning all the crazy ones. And then bipolar is an interesting term for disorder because when people are put into the polls, they're Democrat, Republican, or whatever, or science or religion. When you're put in these polls, you can be pushed by society. You can be manipulated very easily. But if you start looking at both poles as complete falsehoods and false realities, then you become questioning of society, and it puts you in depression, and it puts you in these weird spaces in your mind. And psychologists and psychiatrists don't know what to do with you. That was my experience, and then I had these moments of consciousness where I guess my consciousness really was screwed up, but at the time. But bipolar to me is when you can see both poles of something, and you're not into like one camp or another camp where society wants you to be.
I've been diagnosed bipolar.
And here's one more thing that you guys didn't know about, but when I was actually a Christian, when I didn't fit in with many of the Christian people, they think I was Asperger because the thing is I just feel so withdrawn, And I was like, dude, being withdrawn, is that your fault, or is that my fault? And then that's when they all blame it on me.
No, they put a label on you, so then now you feel even worse.
Yeah, putting a label is already stress enough, and now they threw me into pills. Like, think about it. I was put into pill 3 times in my life, and I thought, oh my god, I'm going to put a gun in my head. There's no way I can survive that.
Hey Andy, do you teach meditation to youth at all?
Hey, I teach it every time whenever I go to an organization with children with disabilities. I teach it to them. I teach it to autistic kids, ADHD kids, you name all those guys. I give them all free hugs.
Job. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna step away from the computer for a bit. So just keep doing your thing.
So yeah, what about it, Chad?
No, it's something that I thought of earlier today. It's something that I kind of figured that you did, but I was looking into some meditation stuff today, and I thought of you, and I thought of kids and stuff, and I was just kind of wondering if that's what you thought.
Dude, if you didn't know it, I actually practiced meditation 8 hours a day when I was in high school.
Just zone out.
Well, A, I zone out. B, I went astral traveling during class, and C, I do all sorts of crazy stuff. And next thing you know, my teacher told me, Andy, get back in your shell, and that's when I finally get back. Because seriously, class is boring.
I wish I had that luxury in high school.
No, seriously.
I wasn't allowed to zone out. I was taken out of a normal English class. I was put in a higher up English class where everybody started to hate me because I broke the grade curve. And I'm just like, let me go and do my thing. But no, I had to go research Greek mythology because that's my thing.
Well, here's the thing. You guys might not notice it. This is actually my language class where it's not English language, it's actually foreign language, and my teacher was easygoing, but like I came from a high academic school, but then at least they were so cared about grades, and I was like, you know what, that's easy peasy for me, then bam, alright.
That's how it was with French for me, and actually what's funny is Thursday I was going to go play some D&D Ravenloft with my friend, and he's like, we're going into a bayou with a lot of Louisiana type names. You took French, help me pronounce these names. And I'm like, Yeah, I took French. I know a little bit of French. Let's do this. That's the other class that I accidentally broke the grade curve on. I was out of school for 3 months and came back and took all my tests and passed them.
Yeah, school was really easy for me too, but I couldn't. I had a social phobia where I couldn't sit in a classroom, so I missed a lot of school, a lot of high school. I spent a lot of time in bathrooms or hallways, just avoiding class altogether.
Yeah, I know that one. I was really shy and reserved. I spent a lot of time in the office, but I also had a lot of health conditions, so I spent a lot of time in the office. My blood sugar was over 500. You're not going back to class. You're going to stay here and do your work till your mom picks you up. Okay. Or I was sent to the hospital.
You know what I did when I was in high school? Like, while you guys run in the hallways or, like, doing that, I was sleeping and drooling on the tables. Because seriously,
I got out of gym class. That's all that mattered to me.
But when I go to gym class and I did like my soccer kicks, oh my God, people just want me to leave the game because seriously, I kick too hard, and people are so scared of me, you know, because I just come after them.
I would love to have you in my gym class because I got sent to the library. I wasn't allowed to participate in gym. The coach was afraid that I would fall over on the floor in a seizure, so he sent me to the library.
Oh wow! Because me, if I ever play with any kids, they better watch out because seriously, I will come at them at full speed or full power, and they'll be like, "The Super Saiyan is coming! You better watch out!"
Andy, this is why you need to live in North Carolina, because I would dress you up as a Super Saiyan this Friday and drag you around all over the anime con that I'm going to this Friday. I'd be like, "This is my Super Saiyan. I'm a pirate. Don't mess with us."
I just kind of wanted to jump in. I thought it was really interesting that we'd started to get in on the education system and how wonderful and flawless it is. Yeah, I know for me at least personally, like, I thought it was, once I actually saw it for what it was, I thought it was really funny that, you know, there seemed to be, for me, you know, there seemed to be two types of people, myself being the latter, but just, you know, the type that can take the information, you know, retain it, and then just regurgitate it. You know, and then there would be the other set of people who would, you know, take the information and stop and be like, all right, so let's start at the beginning. Where's this information coming from? Who's it coming from? You know, I don't know, actual, you know, thinkers, if you will. And I find it's really interesting that now we just have kids in school, and it's just it seems like there's no passion in it. Like, it's completely almost automatic, if you will. Here's the information, you know, take it as it is, don't go anywhere with it, just, you know, retain it, and this is what you need to pass. And yeah, it's kind of lifeless to me.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
That's how I felt about math, and I really, really hate math. I failed in all of my math classes. I was lucky if I had a C. They were going to hold me back in algebra, and I'm like, screw you, I'm dropping out.
So basically now, in my school, they basically just throw tests at you and say, you need to pass these in order to pass the grade.
No, seriously, I can identify with that, and I'm just really, really glad I finished school when I did, because everything changed one year where test became like all of our grade, and so then it was like, oh, that's cool, so everything else I do is just kind of non-existent. That's awesome.
Sorry,
all right.
I got 1 week left. I'm so happy.
Nice, congratulations.
Nice, Matt. At least you're lucky because when I was in high school, seriously, oh my God, the classes were so easy. Like, when I was in school, I was literally reading my teacher's mind, and I was like, okay,
they still are easy. I just get bored so easy. Like, I just look at it as if they care.
I know, but here's the thing. Like, I don't know about you guys or about some of my kind, but somehow I can be able to read the mind, like, as though I already know the materials that he's going, like, as though I already read through his lectures. And next thing you know, I can be able to, like, okay, I know what you're gonna say next, and then I can bam, 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 and I already found the formula before you did. And then next thing you know, I was like, so what? Why do I care learning about this? You know?
I don't know. No, math was horrible for me. I don't understand math because my philosophy on math is numbers and letters don't go together. Quit doing this. You're hurting my brain.
Like,
Seriously, I dropped out of high school because my parents told me I could. They were trying to do stupid stuff with me, the school I went to, and then I went and got my GED. That's all good. And I'm planning on moving an hour away from where I live now. And apparently, the school system in Raleigh is not as great as here in Fayetteville. Fayetteville school system sucks. I know this for a fact. My friend is a substitute teacher. He hates his job. But because they're just stupid idiots. And the only classes I liked were my college classes, and I liked my history teacher, Mr. Stewart. He was awesome, and he did everything on PowerPoint.
You know, like what Sherman was saying, you have to be engaged with your students. If you just regurgitate a bunch of text and then say regurgitate this plain text back on a test, you're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna put something in your eye because you're not engaged in it. You have to be engaged and interested in whatever the topic is. And math is kind of hard to do that. That's why a lot of people don't like math.
Yeah, my brother loves it. I like history. My brother likes history. I'm more of a literature person. That's why I like role playing, because it allows me to write a story with somebody else. And that's what I basically do. And I like a lot of art stuff. And
It's a goddamn best.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but like on my end, like somehow high school, the way how they pushed me, it was so unreal and just like so slow to the point where, you know what? I would rather take 5 AP classes with an additional 2 more college classes in order to keep myself out of boredom. And I actually did, and I scored like a 4.40 on my GPA. Like, you guys can just imagine how in the hell did that happen.
Yeah, I know. I know at least for me, and I think it's really funny, just as far as teachers go. And this kind of speaks to, I guess, the passion, that Chad was saying that, the student has to have, but I feel like more importantly, the teacher has to kind of embody, in a sense, because all of the really amazing teachers I've had have just been really passionate about whether it be their craft or their students or just the passion lied in there somewhere. And it came across to everyone, and it's just, I don't know, it makes, for me at least, the subject a lot easier to take because it's presented in.
that's why I loved Mr. Stewart. He had a lot of passion. I took 3 of his classes. I took medieval history. I took myth and human culture, and then there was one I had to drop out of because I had eye surgeries and they were causing me problems. But in medieval history, I loved him because he let me do my report on medieval torture devices. And he told me I was probably the most creative in my project.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Apparently my mom got called by her FBI friend because I was looking up medieval torture devices on her computer, and the FBI thought she was up to something.
Are you kidding me? Because seriously,
She's being watched by the FBI because of certain things. So
because
yeah.
seriously, that's no wonder why you get watched over. Because seriously, that is like playing around with weapons.
No, it's not playing around with weapons. It's researching certain devices that cause great harm to people, such as the Iron Maiden, the Iron Shoe, the Pear. What else was there? Oh, the Death of 1,000 Cuts, which is done over in Asia. Oh, and you got the bowl, which kind of roast. There's a lot of interesting medieval torture devices. Like, there's over 30 of them that I researched and did a report on. And the Iron Maiden was my favorite because, bleeding somebody out slowly, and then if you open up the door, they die instantly.
That's kind of scary.
I don't know about you guys, but like about Star Children, but somehow when I read about articles on how Star Children were to learn learning material, I found out that those guys, they tend to self-taught more often than they get taught by somebody. You know, they just like to do things on their own.
Yeah, that's how I
They just
am.
get more knowledgeable.
The teacher of the year for New York State and also New York City a long time ago, John Taylor Gatto. What he did is he engaged the students. He found out what their passions were and gave them homework assignments that let them go run wild with it, however they saw fit. And he did this by getting all the kids out of the classroom, which was totally against school rules, I'm sure, and policy. He actually was scared that a principal or administrator would come to his class and wonder where all the students were, because up to 80-90% of them were off in the field doing research or doing a project or doing whatever. But he got Teacher of the Year a few times, and then he eventually quit on the op-ed page of the was it Wall Street Journal? I always forget what paper it was. But he quit because he said he wanted to stop hurting kids because he didn't believe in the traditional education system. And he's actually very, very, very intelligent. He actually knows a lot about the way the schooling system was structured in the Carnegie Foundation, and how a lot of the classical learning, the trivium, the quadrivium, the classic liberal arts, all that kind of stuff was taken out of our school system.
Oh, really? Oh my God!
To dumb down our education, and he's got a. I actually helped produce. Well, I got a producer credit because I donated money to the project. But there's like a 5-hour documentary of him talking, and on thetragedyandhope.com, if you guys are familiar with that website at all. And anyway, he was an amazing teacher because he did exactly what we're talking about. He figured out what his kids' passions were and tailored an experience to them so that they could learn for themselves on their own. And they got him Teacher of the Year.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but like I don't know if you even call this like normal to a starseed person, but like when I was a child, this is like long time ago. I didn't start knowing how to multiply and divide very well when I was in 2nd grade. Like, get this overview real quick. 3rd grade, I barely getting my head out of multiplication and everything. But then on 4th grade, I mastered that, and I self-taught Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. And then next thing you know, when I get to 6th grade, I just self-taught and mastered Calculus, all on my own, and Trigonometry. And I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Like, when I look back on myself, and I was like, I wonder, am I anywhere normal for this, or am I just the only starseed doing all these crazy crap? Like, do you guys have any experience with this? Am I feeling lost? Anyone?
I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked. I went ahead and found a YouTube video and posted that in the discussion group of what I was talking about a minute ago with John Taylor Gatto. So I didn't catch the entire essence of what you said there, Andy.
Oh, it's okay. Well, here's the thing. Like, when I was in 2nd grade, I barely learned how to multiply and divide or even add, because I was pretty bad at it, at math. 3rd grade, I can barely do multiplication with 2 digits. My parents struggled a lot with me on like the word problems. But somehow when I get to 4th grade, I not only mastered multiplication, division, adding, subtracting, but also I literally mastered Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. Like, I self-taught my own. And then 6th grade, I self-taught Calculus and Trigonometry.
Why? That's my question. Why would you bother doing that?
I was like, I'm just a little curious, One
I'm not saying
curiosity
anything-
led to the other.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. I'm just like a 6th grader. Why are you dealing with trigonometry and calculus? It's
Yeah, but, like,
so far the norm.
That's the
Like,
reason why I was like, is this normal to have like a curiosity that early? Because the thing is I don't know if because it's pretty abnormal to see a 6-year-old sixth grader like learning calculus, you know, and college stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, one of my good friends, and he finished Calc 3 before high school, and he was a super smart guy. But yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, whenever you guys brought up like the issue about how our school is all dumbing us down and everything, you guys got a good point, you know, especially like when you're talking about music. Because when I was a child, I always like it doesn't matter how old I am. I just here's the funny thing is when I actually started speaking when I was 4. And it only took like a couple months later, I just learned how to pick up a microphone and sing like my first English song that I never heard of, but somehow I just know the lyrics or heard of the lyrics. You guys have, like, do you guys have any idea about this? Because seriously, I'm I'm just like, wow. I don't know if like if starseeds commonly do this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh wow. Karina left and Gary also left. Wow. So like what do you guys think about starseeds? Because the thing is like I know that they all are unique in some way or the other, but like how in the world do you know if they are by the signs?
Hey, what are we talking about?
Andy?
Yeah.
Nick? Steve?
Oh no, it's just I was saying just like Andy. Andy was leading the conversation in the direction of.
Okay.
That was the segue point for you, Andy, to just take over.
Like I was asking you guys about star seeds and how they work and how they function in education because the thing is I don't know how these guys work, but but so many people keep calling me as an indigo and a crystalline. I don't know why.
I like the topic of like not labeling, but at the same time I'm curious as to like who's who and like who's like who like sort of goes with each category. But at the same time, you're not supposed to really label yourself. It's not really the best option because you could just go down the wrong path or something.
Yeah, like I don't care about me being an indigo. I just want to know like what's going on with how I behave. You know?
Yeah, you know, like the intuition side of it. Like, why am I picking up on certain things like that? What is that associated with?
Oh, well, sometimes like whenever I have the chance to go to Paradigm Shift, you know, I always ask certain scenarios about myself because I just want to know myself a little bit from what you guys from you guys' knowledge. Because the thing is I feel like I'm lost a little bit.
I think that's so natural though. At the same time, that's like the part of like what this is about, this reality. You know? Everyone's so curious, so much curiosity behind it. Nobody really knows for sure, and that's like
Yeah.
that's the most fun part, I think.
There's
Yeah, I
definitely a
know.
maturing process too. You're young. I mean, I'm 36. I'm probably older than most of you guys here, but not everybody. So it's a
We're all
maturing.
but
It's
we're
the
all on the same
maturing
wavelength.
process.
It's the same wavelength that we're all on, and that's really interesting. You know, we're all different ages, but we're all sort of like going on the same strand of like the
I know, right?
thinking. It's
Yeah, I
wild.
don't.
It's really wild.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but like I think Matt is the youngest one in here. I guess. Am I correct?
How old are you, Matt?
I'm 18.
No,
Yeah.
I'm the youngest one here.
Okay.
I'm 16.
Wow. Then
Yeah.
I'm 20.
Damn.
I think it's really interesting because I kind of just sum it up to a quote I'd heard that the real journey begins when you realize you're lost. Because I mean, isn't that the truth? The actual journey really doesn't start until you realize, all right, so I have no idea where I am. Now the journey begins. So
I
I think
know.
in
I
the
know,
fact that you
Sherman.
are feeling or maybe feeling lost, Andy, I mean, I think that may also be, kind of a you're in the right place, you know what I mean? You are in where you should be, I guess.
Yeah, in fact, that's the reason why I'm asking you guys on the show is like, seriously, what's going on? Because I personally try to find a place where it can help me to guide to the answer, but then I was like, am I picking on the right source or am I just picking random things?
You know, the way I've perceived it as, I don't really know what it's for, but what I think it's related to is how animals can sort of pick up on the same hunting like tactics or the same sort of going to different areas and different environments together. I think the reason why people are picking up on the same things at the same time isn't because I don't know, it's an individual thing for them. It's kind of like a collective thing. We're all sort of picking up on the same like, oh, what they're like like a company is doing this or they're trying to do that. That doesn't make any sense. Like, what is that? I don't know if anybody's seen that Joe Rogan video, like that one video where he's talking to Amber Lyon and they're like he's talking about how people are just picking up on the the BS that all these high statured people are talking about. And people are sort of picking up on the fact like why are they making these decisions? Like, or why is this like this? Why is this like that? I think we're opening our perception doors. People are like they're not as ignorant, that's for sure.
Let me ask you guys this, like something I was thinking about earlier today when I was out for a walk, and I started realizing like there's all these real truths and these real aspects of consciousness or a life experiences that are embedded in TV shows and movies and these types of things, but a lot of them are like cliche.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I thought about was Ferris Bueller's Day Off when he's like, if you don't stop and take a look around, you'll miss life or whatever, however the quote goes. And now I'm the maturity thing, I guess. Again, I'm looking back now, realizing that I took a lot of these like great hints at how to
live,
and I missed all these. I missed all these messages, and I wonder if people go their entire lives without getting some of these messages that are uplifting and positive, because I don't think I really realized that until
well, do you think that maybe
recently.
because of the cliche nature of it? Do you think maybe people look at the cheesiness and be like, I'll never get that. I'll never get that corniness. That's just not me. That's not where I've been in my experience. People always think like too seriously. We are taking things way too seriously with our lives. We never just let loose and say, this isn't as bad as a situation as I should be taking. Maybe I should like look at it from a whole new way.
Oh yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I think you hit on it as far as experience, because if it's like something just on word, like movies is actually more easy to identify with, but if something is text on words, like you don't resonate with it if you don't experience it. You can read the word love, but you'll never understand it until you experience it yourself.
Hands-on training.
Here's the funny thing is here's the funny thing about me as a starseed person from my experience is that when I was a child, before I actually know the word mommy or daddy, somehow I experienced the word love. Like when you ask me to say something, I only say ma or dad most of the time, but whenever I'm saying whole sentences, my first sentence was I love you. That was the first thing I ever learned.
That's like an intuitive nature with us.
Yeah, but it's like part of who I am. Like whenever I see an animal, like for example, if I were to like a chicken egg, I would not even crack that egg, even whenever I like just a bunch of proteins and everything. But
really?
I sense life. Yeah, I felt like I sensed life. I sensed something very volatile that I should respect and should hold as sacred rather than to abuse it.
Uh,
I feel like I should be the one who protect it.
You know, I've been getting into gardening, which is a wild thing for me because I'm 16 and I'm in high school. It's 2014. You don't see kids our age gardening, and I've gained a whole new set of like values with plants because I just after school every day I'm just watering plants in my front yard for my mom. She's just like, oh, you should water the plants for me. I'm like, all right, I'll do that. And like I've sort of gotten like a whole new perception for it. I don't know, like I feel some sort of intuitive nature as I'm doing it. Like it's a relationship that we have as a species to take
Yeah, I
care of
know.
plants and even animals. Even animals they can't take care of themselves for most of their early part of their lives. It's
Yeah,
fascinating.
but like, yeah, I know, right? But like, here's the funny thing. When after I just like, after I felt all those moments with animals, somehow the adult took it away from me by taking a knife and just slaughter that animal like as though it's saying to them. And they told me to even do it to an animal, and I feel like I don't want to do this. There's time I even threw up in front of them for the sake of it. But then, because of it, from a person who's so innocent, I wasn't there anymore. I literally turned Super Saiyan the first time, and I sensed that I was useless to everyone, and I don't care if you're a human. I just want to know you. It wasn't until like when I became Buddhist that's when I learned what love really is again. Like I wonder, does that happen to some of you guys?
Oh no, we lost him.
Yeah, Andy drops out all the time for some reason.
Oh, poor Andy. It's quite unfortunate for Andy. So I'll just take a moment. That great guy, Andy.
Yes, take a moment, pause, and reflect on Andy.
You know, I hate to change topics, but I just watched like the craziest documentary right now.
Okay, what is it?
It's called Blackfish, and my brother was like trying to convince me to watch it. It's like about orcas and how they're kept in captivity. And I thought it was going to be corny, like as we were talking before, corniness and all that. And I was thinking like it was going to be like Free Willy and all, but like it was nothing like that. It had conspiracy to it. It had intrigue. It had all this stuff. And one of the most fascinating things was it was about this one orca named Tilcum. And when he was 2 years old, he was taken away from his family, and he was brought to Victoria, and that's my hometown. And they're like having him do tricks and stuff. He's all excited about it at first, but then he starts to get more like aggressive about it. His aggressive nature starts to take hold, and he starts having babies. And what happens is these babies all have this aggressive gene, and he has like 50 descendants that are still in like SeaWorld places, like all over the states. This was a fascinating movie. I totally recommend it. It's called Blackfish, and it was crazy because every time there was an attack with an orca, these SeaWorld executives would just say, "Oh, it was the trainer's fault. The trainer wasn't taking care of these animals right. They were doing something wrong." When like you see these videos and you can tell these orcas are just have a higher intelligence. They realize like, wait, I don't have to take this. I don't have to do these tricks anymore. I can like I have a consciousness just like yours. Why are you putting me in a cage? Like and they mention that too. They mention like the First Nations sort of idea of orcas' intelligence and how their brain this is one of the scientific facts is that their brain has sort of their emotional complexity is much more intense than our own, and that was so fascinating to me, the idea that they on an emotional level could be more intelligent than we are, because we're so mechanical, and we're kind of like creating rules for ourselves, making right angle doors and everything. We need everything to be flat and all, but these creatures are more about like taking care of one another. You see like the mothers, like a son never leaves their mother when they're an orca. Like when they're an adult, they just follow their mother the time. It's like really fascinating to see how they stick together, and even how like some of them like even portray like human aggressiveness when it's like they have like mafia with dolphins. You guys ever hear about that? Like dolphins, like they rape each other, they have gangs, they do fights. Like they're similar to humans in that aspect. Like, and we
Oh
don't
yeah,
take it seriously.
oh yeah.
Yeah, you
I
hear
think-
about that about dolphins, but you don't really hear about that, regarding killer whales. But
I
Yeah.
recommend that documentary because I didn't do it justice.
No, I heard it was actually causing SeaWorld like a lot of problems. Like they were not getting a lot of people mixed with that documentary with like the protests, and it was having a pretty big effect on the turnout of SeaWorld. I myself have not seen the video, but I'd heard about it because it was just causing a stir online initially, apparently when it came out. But yeah, I mean, they say what some of the greatest minds in the world inhabit the oceans. Like dolphins are supposedly way more intelligent than us, supposedly. You know what I mean? But I mean, look at how they live their lives, and look how we live our lives. I mean, they're quite literally playing all day, and we are stressing all day. Like, who's really winning here? But no, like, I just think. You've got this giant orca, and you put it in, like, a bathtub. Like, how does that work? You can't, like, I don't know. That's just how I see it. Like, that's not, you wouldn't want that done. You wouldn't want somebody to put you in a bathtub and then keep you there all day and then have people watch you and then make you do flips. And
I know, right? Yeah, Sherman, you got a good point right there. In fact, I feel like each and every one of us here are like orcas. You know, we got stuck into a big, giant tank, and that's all.
Dude, I want to be an orca, man. My favorite thing I heard all day. We're like orcas. I'm quoting you.
Or you wish to become an orca, you already are.
If you could come back, I know I'm changing subjects a lot. If you could come back, what would it be?
Think about it. We're surrounded by androids.
Yeah?
Yeah, think about it. Look around us. Aren't the humans acting like actual humans? They look like androids. You get it?
Sort of like doing the same old mundane tasks, you mean?
Yeah, insanity.
Insanity. What's the definition of insanity, boys?
Doing something over and over again and expect different results. Or
Exactamundo.
Yeah, and think about it. Aren't the humans androids? Come on. We are like what's even funnier is that we're like little orcas out there who swim in, and then they're capturing us and they're putting us in tanks.
Whoa. You're on something here. Keep going.
Yeah, in fact, here's the funny thing is when I found out about who I was when I was a child, I found out that in my family, I was the biggest orca. I'm not joking. No matter where you put me in the tank, I'm not going to fit in. I would start splashing all over the place, bite my owner, kicking the stove all the time. I just don't really like it. I want to be out in the sea, man.
Wow, that's like a proverb. I like that.
Like, I'm not joking, man, because seriously, that's how I was when I was a child, and until now,
you were the wild card. You didn't want to do the other people's tasks. You wanted to make your own answers. You wanted to find your own answers. You wanted to create your own destiny.
Oh yeah, and but like I want more than that. I want to help others do the same, not just me alone. I'm pulling a team with me here. Well, like, I mean, how in the world did we end up in a tank all of a sudden? Didn't they, like, trapped us, like, in those, what do you call it?
The American dream, my friend. It's the American dream.
Wait, how is it the American dream? Because, seriously, I think they try to net us when we were youngsters, and then next thing you know, they pull us in unconsciously. We were unconscious by the time they pulled us in, you know.
Well, the real American dream is the reason why so many people came to this country was because you were able to work and keep the money, and you didn't have to give it back to a lord, or you weren't a slave. You weren't you didn't have a lord, or you didn't have to pay taxes. You had a lot more freedom. So if you invented something, you were able to produce that invention, and you can make something of yourself. You weren't kept down. You weren't suppressed. I mean, that was the original American dream, was freedom.
This is a good idea. If you talk to like people who are, I'm Canadian, like we kind of joke around about like, oh, the Americans are so dumb, but like when you hear about people who are patriotic about the American dream, you just like get it. You like, it's about the freedom aspect, about being able to make your own money and not having to, you know, it wasn't about industry. Like if you hear about the quotes of like the first 4 founding fathers of America, like their ideas or plans for like a free society, it was a good idea, but it just got squandered over time because of people who got greedy so quickly.
Well, the main thing is the the 1800s was the biggest economic boom in history. It saw the greatest living standards in history, where people that by the end of the 1800s were able to live better than the kings of the 17th century or the 1700s.
They thought working hours were going to be so different now. Like they didn't know what people were going to be doing all day nowadays.
Right, and that's because of in 1913 when the central bank won again. The real what they don't teach you in school is the real reason of the Revolutionary War. They don't tell you the real reason. They don't tell you the real reason for the War of 1812, and they sure as hell aren't going to talk to you and tell you about 1913, the central banking system, or they're not going to tell you about 1971 when Nixon got us completely off the gold standard. But maybe you've seen some of these things floating around Facebook nowadays, and they show the money where a few quarters that were minted before 1971 are worth $20. So in essence, if the central banking system didn't dilute the money supply so much that everybody here would be making a lot more money per hour than what they should be. Like, so if you were making if you were being paid in silver, like silver quarters, that were like, because quarters aren't silver anymore.
Yeah.
You'd be making $20-30 an hour easy, and that's if the money supply. My thoughts are screwed up here. Because I want to give absolute figures, and I don't have the absolute figures, and it's kind of giving me a hard time to say a congruent sentence.
I guess the gist of it, sort of how like the currency depleted over that sort of time frame.
Yeah, well, they don't make quarters out of silver anymore because the metal is more expensive than the quarter. They don't make pennies out of copper anymore because the copper is worth more than the penny, and that's because the central banking system is printing dollars off the printing press.
You guys know if they still use penny down in the States?
Do we what?
Do you guys still use the pennies down in the States?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We use them,
well, wait, kind of. Like, no one really uses them, but they're still around.
I usually throw them right away.
Yeah, I know a guy. He just makes a tower of pennies. You know, he sits on it all day. Sits on his tower of pennies.
I'll just go to the casino with my pennies.
Oh wow. I don't know about you guys, but like seriously, like when it comes to the American dollars, oh my god, seriously, I can barely pay any. I can buy something, but here's the real nightmare: is credit cards.
Oh.
Dude, credit cards. Oh my god, those nightmares, they stack on top of one another.
I mean, I guess it would just kind of be safe to touch on really quick that we are dealing with the whole imaginary system anyway when it comes to money in the Fed.
Yeah.
So, all right, just want to put that out. I mean, I knew we were all on the same page, but I just wanted to, that whole part of the whole money thing. Yeah.
Illusory. I don't know if that's the right word. Illusionary? Illusionary? It's an illusion.
Yeah, it's most definitely.
Well, money is very, very important as far as production. Because for the allocation of resources is very, very important. That's why socialism doesn't work, because when you have a centralized authority figuring out how much resources you use and what quantities and where those resources should go, it's impossible. But if you have price discovery and free markets, then all that stuff happens like magic. It's actually a very, very good thing for money in regards to production. It's also very good for means of exchange. So, for an apple farmer, he needs a piano, but the piano maker doesn't like apples. How is the apple farmer supposed to get the piano? From they need some sort of medium of exchange, and that's what money is. And like in the Roman times, money was things like salt, because everybody used salt. So people use salt as an exchange.
What do you think about the new banking systems, like the new Bitcoin and Litecoins, and money controlled by the people and not
what was the whole thing that happened with Bitcoin? Like, didn't somebody use a lot of money? I don't know the exact story. I'm hearing a lot of mixed things. You guys know what happened with Bitcoin?
Yeah, I can explain everything with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Yeah, things like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, all those types of things, they're a step in the right direction for sure.
I agree.
I come from an Austrian school perspective on gold and silver, and it took me a little while to get around to understanding the blockchain and exactly how powerful it is. And I am a full proponent of the blockchain technology for voting, for money as well. I think it's very, very interesting. It could be. I'm invested in it. I hope it's the wave of the future because I do kind of believe in it. As far as people losing money, I mean, Bitcoin a year ago was worth like $60, $50 a year ago. It's worth $450 now.
Wow.
The reason why people are harping on like the price of it is because it shot up in November. It shot up to 1,200, and then it dropped to 450, and it had a lot of bad press since December to now. One of the main problems was China's adoption. They said China was going to kill it, and then they didn't kill it. And they're going to kill it, no, they didn't kill it. Well, China's going to ban it, no, they didn't ban it. So that was a lot of issue. Another big issue was Mt. Gox in Japan, and Mt. Gox stands for Magic the Gathering Online Exchange, because when Mt. Gox was actually originated, it was meant to be a trading platform for Magic of the Gathering trading cards. It wasn't even meant for Bitcoin. But that was the first place you could trade Bitcoins. So that was the first time people understood how much Bitcoins were, because no one really knew what a Bitcoin was because there wasn't an exchange system set up. So Mt. Gox was the first price discovery mechanism where people were trading, all these Bitcoins. And then there was a lot of issues with Mt. Gox. And so the writing was kind of on the wall. If you had your Bitcoins with Mt. Gox and if you kept your Bitcoins there, that there was a risk. And I knew that way before they had issues.
That's with any cloud wallet, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly with any online wallet like that. Is if you don't hold the public and the private keys on your own desktop, then you're susceptible to a third party. And that's what.
All the botting, all the Bitcoin. What do they call it? Farming is going on, taking advantage of that basically.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what happened with that. There's different stories that I've heard and stuff, but
I think one of the most interesting things I've read about Bitcoin is one of my favorite things I read when I was doing research on it was the fact that it's designed to only last so long. It was quite a long time, but even so, it was estimated that it would only last, maybe 20, 30 years before the coins run out, and a whole new system has to be created together.
No, that's not true. That's not true. What happens is there's a halving period. So after so many blocks, for Bitcoin, like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, they're all set up different, but for Bitcoin, it's halved after so many years. The block reward is halved for miners. And it keeps getting halved and halved and halved and halved and halved and halved. So it's going to take like 2187 or something like that before the halves get all the way down to like zero. Yeah, but there's also some very small transaction fees. So whenever there's a transaction that takes place, there's very, very small fees. So and those fees get added onto the blocks for the miners, so the miners get those fees. So what they're saying is, by the time these halvenings or the block rewards, run out, there'll be so much in transaction fees that it will make up for the fact that the blocks are set at zero. So once the 23 million once the 21 million have all been mined, there will still be Bitcoin on the blocks because it will be the transaction fees. Instead of new coins.
I've heard it's pretty much died out. Like I said, it's been a while since I read on it, obviously. Thanks for correcting me. But you're right, with the 2187, that is what I had read.
That's like the estimate.
What do you think in general about a non-government or country-owned currency taking hold of the world? Do you think it's possible?
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, and that's another reason why America was great. They had I should probably learn a little bit more about the colonial dollar. That did collapse, but I should learn a little bit more about that. But yeah, the money is for the money is for the people. The money is not from the government. The government should never have control of the money at all.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
money is
Look at the
exchanged.
nature. The nature of the internet says like sort of equality within standards of information, laws, news. Everything about the internet speaks the idea of having sort of connectivity in that aspect. It seems that we're heading towards in that direction. If the nature of the internet is as free as it is right now, it's headed in that direction, whether we like it or not.
Right. As long as they don't stop net neutrality and those types of things, which is a constant
I was about to say
battle.
that. We should definitely talk about that. Net neutrality, man. I want to get like Skull's thoughts on this. Like this is some crazy stuff that they're trying to pull here. They're trying to make it like satellite or cable.
What are you referring to, net neutrality?
Just sort of like the laws that are going against it, like the fast lane that they're developing and the slow lane. Sort of how they can sort of make sure more like police what you can see and what you can't see. Websites that have propaganda on them are gonna be able to have faster speed than like people who are like artists. Like if a musical artist wants to get out there, he's not gonna have as much of a chance as another like Miley Cyrus. Right now, Miley Cyrus can make a music video, and I can make a music video, and we're both gonna have same amount of chances of becoming successful. Granted, she has a fan base, and I don't have a fan base. That doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter.
A lot of social media networking and a lot of networking and search engine optimization. All kinds of things go into making famous people famous. That's as far as how people get famous off of a video they post on YouTube. I think it's a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not just
Victor?
from becoming basic. Like,
Hey, Victor.
Yeah.
Hey, do you? I hate to tell you guys or break the fun for you guys, but like, do you know that Justin Bieber, the reason why he's so famous and well known to people is because he markets his business so well?
Right. Well, he was, his boss is Usher, and he's been doing that thing, been in the business for decades. So
think about it. Because of partnership, he was successful, but in terms of actually looking at his music, I was like, what the shit is that?
I kind of personally feel the internet's actually kind of opposite. I mean, on the same note, as far as getting famous, they may not be able to achieve, but I think people that have something of talent to offer on any of the avenues of art, of any kind of art, whether it's music or drawing or anything.
My sort of problem with the breaking down of like the fairness of net neutrality isn't so much as like becoming famous, making a lot of money. It's more about how they're going to be able to make sure what we see and what we cannot see. That's more of like what we should all be like worried about. Look at the Egyptian story that happened. Like people were protesting in Egypt and talking about the corruption within the government, and then for a month the government just shut down the internet. And what the UN had to do after that was make the internet a human right. So now, if there's a regime going on in like sort of a protest in any other country, and the government decides to turn off the internet because people are talking about the corruption within the government and politics, then the UN has the right to step in and stop the government from shutting down the internet. And corporations know that with that in mind, people can talk so much about the corruption that like they're gonna try their best to just put laws under the table that will squander the free information. Like, it's beautiful what the internet is. Like we can talk to anybody about anything. We can get second guesses from people who have the credentials to be talking about certain things. Like, I don't have the credentials to be talking about this, but I can find somebody who knows. Like that's what it's about. It's about the fact that we can talk to people who
I think
like, that's what it's about.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. Yeah, like that's what happens whenever I keep listening to like certain music that I like. Like for example, like me, when I listen to like pop music and even Justin Bieber's music, because I listened to him when I was at a young age, and I was like, what type of shit is this? And then next thing you know, it wasn't until I was 7th grade that I finally found heavy metal that I found my satisfaction.
Yeah. Anybody listen to Pink Floyd?
Pink Floyd, my favorite. Dragon Force, my #1, dude.
Friday night, I listened to 4 albums. I listened to Metal, Animal, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here. Any suggestions for Pink Floyd? 'Cause I just want to listen to all their stuff now.
Me, I would listen to Dragon Force, Asking Alexandria, and several others. You
I
know.
will open the tab, my friend.
Hey,
I heard Brick of the
just
Wall on the
wanted to
radio
say-
today.
Hmm?
Listening to it.
I just want to make a really quick point, piggybacking off of what Victor was talking about, and I guess what everybody was talking about a second ago. Does everybody know about like the net neutrality? I think it is. It's a petition that's been going around online just to keep the net like free and out of government control. I can post a link up in the chat.
Are
But
they getting newsletters?
yeah, it's
Wow.
it's pretty important, I think, because like Victor, like you were saying, I personally feel like the net is kind of that, if you will, physical collective consciousness. You know, it's that instantaneous, way to put out, your thoughts and information to be shared, instantly anywhere around the world. And
Spiritual. It's a spiritual act.
yeah, I think like we totally need to keep that open. I mean, I just know, for example, I have a friend in China, and it's just like when we talk just about the internet, it's just so crazy about the things I can find that he can't find.
Yeah, there's restrictions.
Government's hold on the internet in China, and it's quite literally like when he tells me this stuff, it's terrifying because
They don't have YouTube, do they? They don't have YouTube in China.
They do.
Yeah.
It's just very limited, I believe.
Yeah, trust me. If you guys haven't seen me go to Vietnam, you'll find out that the internet over there is also very limited.
Oof.
About 10 years ago, I played a couple online games with some kids from China, and actually played with them for quite a few years. And yeah, the country is quite a trip compared to here. They got a lot more restrictions.
Oh yeah, trust me.
But that's because they're mostly 10 years ahead of us when it comes to things like that, and their average user is a lot more educated. I guess you could say, with computers and the internet than most others. It's just a ploy, I think, though, to make them still look like a clean country, because we all know everyone in China is using proxy or whatever have you to get around and see what they want.
There's loopholes. Anybody can find a loophole.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys know that China and Tibet are like some of the countries that originally where Lao Tse, Buddha, and all those guys, they were born in those countries. They developed the religion and the yoga and everything from there. And I grew up close by also. So
I'm not surprised about that. There's so much, there's so many interesting stories like science and spirit conversions. Hashtag spirit science. I don't know. My dad has been telling me a lot about like Hinduism and how the history of like the events that happen are so similar to events in scientific discoveries. Like how the way water formed on Earth was like a giant sweeping ball of ice that hit the ground. And now they're saying that the way water came to be on the Earth was comets that have ice on them, like came down and spread water across the atmosphere. And I know that's like just one example, but there's so many like crazy examples of like Hinduism converging with like scientific facts, but who knows for sure, right?
Well,
there's always malarkey.
Well, Victor, in fact, to be factual with you and how I read about Hinduism, I think like it's originally a science, dude.
Really?
Buddhism is originally a science. I've known your religion too. The only problem is how we treat it. Think about it. Like, when did we come from a being that is like full of this understanding and be able to manipulate the atoms and everything, and now we're just a bunch of beings that just stuck in school and all we know is just go and work from 9 to 5 and expect to make a living.
I think it's the evolution of energy.
Oh, dude, those are some nice piercings, man. Those are some nice piercings.
Evolution of energy that's just kind of ended up in this crap pot. Sometimes I think it's more so for us to fix or figure out what the issues are, as part of the journey.
Hey, and you guys might have noticed, they also fluoride our water.
Actually, yeah, Texas just finally removed that, though. They just
Oh,
want that in
thank
Texas.
God.
Really?
Oh, really?
Texas? I'm in Texas.
I'm
Yeah.
Wasn't it like Dallas just got like all fluorinated water or something like
No,
that?
I'm
They
still
got
kind of on the fence of
unfluorinated.
like the malarkey of that. Like, what do you guys feel about fluoride in general? Like, I'm
Oh, this is-
on a fence
dude.
about it, the whole idea of it.
It's
big
absolutely horrible for you.
Dude, let me show you
Yeah.
something. No, like
Well,
here's
here-
something that I need to share with you guys regarding fluoride because this
Yeah.
has happened to me once. You know that it actually stunted some of my time with puberty, where like sometimes like I was supposed to grow at age 12, but somehow I delayed myself to 13, and my male development was so clouded, you know, and somehow I feel like I was acting up like I was trying to be smarter, but then I just can't. And it wasn't until I finally defluoride my third eye that's when I somehow know all these shit is coming right at me in life, you know. And I'm like,
I just want to say this real quick. You know, like if in the baby water, you know, they say like for that you're supposed to put in their bottles, they actually add extra fluoride in there.
what?
So they're getting them from like when they're a young age, and I had to tell my friend like, don't don't get that water, So it's
That
just
is
you're
that's
catching them
bad
younger
news.
now.
That's bad news.
Yeah,
There.
it's crazy.
Well, Ash, at least you give us a warning because seriously, I'm actually one of the caregivers for children, so I might warn them also because seriously, they have big third eyes.
Do you guys make homemade toothpaste fluoride free?
Actually, I'm about to
Oh, I
start.
actually do.
have a
I do.
Wait, no, say it again. I missed it.
Fluoride free toothpaste. I was considering trying to like find a
Well,
recipe.
what I do
heard
is-
all you need is like baking soda and like a few
Yeah.
other things.
Yeah,
Strawberries.
I use baking soda, peroxide, and water all mixed together.
I think strawberries is supposed to be pretty good too, actually.
Get some mint in there.
They say there's one with like I think coconut oil and it's like pulling oil.
Yeah, coconut oil.
Like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
coconut
know
oil
what?
and
You
strawberries.
know what I did? You guys, you know what I did? I actually drink more. I drink more like alkaline water and several shot of fruits and vegetables with full of antioxidants.
I've been drinking lemon water.
And in
more
fact,
often lately.
I actually didn't even brush my teeth for 2 weeks, and yet my breath didn't smell, and it was fresh as new. There's no cavities and everything.
I just
Yeah,
wanted to say,
well, I mean, the reason they usually say, oh, it's for it's good for your teeth, but that's I guess you could say that's why there's bits of it in our toothpaste. But why are we drinking large amounts of it, and why does it vary from place to place? Like I live here in Australia, and I know that they do add quite a bit of fluoride, but I know other places where they add even more, and some it's obviously not something concrete if it's different everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
No, totally.
I just want to mention a few things I know about it from what I've read recently, and what I know most is that the biggest thing that fluoride damages on your brain is your pineal gland, which is a lot of scientific research kind of starting to lean towards saying.
Do you guys know if that photo of the pineal gland after like when you can sort of donate your body to science? There's a photo of this guy and they show his pineal gland after he died, and like it's from years of toothpaste and fluoride usage, and it's scorched.
Oh yeah.
Scorched with whiteness. Do you guys know if that's real or not?
Yes, I know what it is.
It is.
well, yeah, I'm pretty sure fluoride calcifies the pineal gland.
Correct.
Hey,
Correct.
yeah, guys, and here's the thing. Do you notice that the pineal gland not only responsible for like those who are actually helping professions, you can actually use that as a way to like tell if somebody is a psychic vampire at its most extreme abilities to like even the most basic abilities is like puberty. It's responsible for our puberty.
I knew somebody with an ability that when they would look at you sleeping, they would know exactly what you were dreaming. And it wasn't until like they reached their 7th, 10th year of school when they were 10 years old that they kind of lost that ability. I don't know if that was because of life.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, guys. In fact, when I brought up the concept of yoga and how I actually slept a lot less, I found out that somehow my third eye keeps tickling. Sometimes it's like as though I got a migraine, up there, up on that area.
Yeah. I just think Ash, I can't get over what you like. That was some serious knowledge for me, at least. I had no idea about the baby water. I mean, if
Yeah,
anything, you
nuts.
would think that would totally be okay water, and come to find out, yeah, that seriously blew my mind. But
Crazy.
I
think
just want to
it's,
throw this out there that everyone should go and sign the petition to have your state ban fluoride in your water, like Dallas,
No,
Texas.
totally.
While we're on
Yeah,
it.
totally. In fact,
Go more local.
Google
City,
it.
city level.
yeah,
I'm,
like
I'm
well
so
water.
happy. I'm so happy I live in Victoria because we have a natural estuary where we make our own
Ooh,
water here.
Nice.
So it's like we have the cleanest water in the world, it's Canada. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
Has anybody done distilled water?
I just went and bought 10 bottles today.
Distilled water?
I've
Yeah.
been trying to switch.
Well, I don't know if any of you have ever had any experiences with DMT, but what I noticed afterwards was my pineal gland. It just felt like something in the center of, I don't know. It was like it was just open. I don't know. And
I know. I love
apparently
hearing about people talk about this. I love hearing people talk about DMT. It's like
I have a few friends who all have said the same thing after it as well. I haven't
like
tried it myself.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
like during it. I'm not gonna get into during it, even though it can get pretty, interesting. But like afterwards, it just felt for even a few days, maybe even a week after, it just felt like, I don't know. It just felt like an openness in the, and I
did
just
it feel like a boost? Did it kind of feel like a boost of like what you already were, like your own personality, like it was sort of
yeah, no,
uplifted in a way?
you're in the same conscious state. Nothing changes, but the
It's
thing
like
is
a
that it
sense
just
of
feels like it's
understanding.
just open. Yeah, I don't know. It was just really, and I've heard that that that's something that can be to sort of cleanse your pineal gland of all the continuous years of just exposure to these things that aren't very good for it.
you know, I got dropped out of the chat, but like, what from
Andy, no.
yeah,
You're
like
saying chat.
yeah, like from what you Ashton was talking about, I was sad to say thanks man, for bringing that up because seriously, I'm like the caregiver of children and like I should have known about that, you know.
Well, you know, it's you would think, like you said, Sherman, you would think that you wouldn't it wouldn't be in there, but you know, I was just looking at the bottle and I actually read it and I was like, oh gosh.
You know, no, like seriously, you didn't notice this, but like, have you ever noticed how like some of these children with Asperger and all those mental disorders turns out to have like some medical problems like that, where they have fluoride in their system and everything? That was horrible.
Well, they're proving a lot of that's coming from vaccines.
Yeah, and vaccines and all those poisons in there. Oh.
Yeah, vaccines about
Like,
that.
like I mean, no wonder. Like, I mean, no wonder why these kids, their pineal gland got stunted to the point where they got diagnosed.
What do you all think about these new super smart pills? You take these; they're supposedly all homeopathic. Or if that's what
I wouldn't take them if I were you.
What
I
it-
haven't taken any.
What is it? Well, like what's it called, Devin?
There's two different ones I've seen. I'll have to look it up again. It's all over my Facebook right now. I think one of them's called Evo, something Evo, and it's basically like a limitless pill, as they're calling it. That's all natural, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's quite selling, but at the same time, I'm a little nervous to try it out myself.
Well, here's the thing, guys. Here's from what I learned from when I was in like studying medical stuff, is that first you have to ask yourself, A, like how much is it in dosage, and B, like what the material in there is, because we don't know what's in there.
None of it's pharmaceuticals, so they quote, and that's
Like, for
that's what had me. Yeah, meaning it's all homeopathic, meaning it's all herbs. It's supposedly all herbs and natural ingredients.
Are we still talking about fluoride?
No,
Well,
smart pills.
here's the thing. If you really want natural herbs, why not grow your own herbs and then just chew it naturally?
Well, that's essentially what they've done, but I guess it's the combination and however they chemically process it. Like I said, you'll have to go do the research. Let me go ahead and find a link for you
because
guys.
seriously, like when it comes to chemical processing, we don't know what type of chemicals they put in there, and sometimes they don't even put it.
What they're using to sell it, ironically though is that the government has no control over it, and they're freaking out because it's a best-selling pill right now. So it's kind of a big deal because the pharmaceutical industry has no hand in it. But at the same note, it's getting great results. But on the same time, it's kind of hard to say how true anything you ever see, especially when it's on a marketing pitch.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, usually I always evaluate pills all the time, but like when it comes to natural things, like for example, I sun myself 3 hours a day. That I can rely upon because I personally been sunning ever since I was 4 years of age already. So that's how I'm like having dark skins.
I just posted a link to one of the ones I've been seeing. There's two really popular ones that I've been seeing a lot lately. That Tri-Evo was the first one that was starting to advertise to me because
Mm. That seems kind of
it,
stupid.
yeah, right. It even says react faster. You know what I'm saying? It literally is like a limitless pill.
But
Yeah.
it's just kind of like they're like how people put up the stuff. Like you can find your own concoction to make with natural stuff. I guess it's kind of like the same thing. I would rather do that. That pill would just contain
Right,
that.
I'd rather look at the ingredients on the bottle to get them myself than
Exactly.
put them in some capsules.
Andy, I think you had brought up a really interesting point, and I think I just wanted to try to like tie it into like a mentality thing because you were talking about you quite literally you said, well, why don't people just grow their own herbs? You know what I mean? And then just combine those. And I just wanted to say how I think that a lot of that's like a mentality thing because quite literally, Victor, you said it earlier. I didn't get to mention it then, but I myself, I'm starting a rooftop garden. And like, there's so much that comes with gardening, like from the very physical connection you get with your food, which I think is so important that we've totally forgotten and we've totally pulled away from is the connection that we've had with our food at one time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
While we're at it,
a
everyone go
hunter-gatherer
sign
or a
the
farmer.
Monsanto petition while you're at it with the fluoride petition.
Yeah, in fact, you guys notice something that is so extraordinary that a couple times that I actually observed my lemon tree that when I actually put my mind into gardening several times, like I began to notice that if I were to water my garden with, like, for example, with tap water, it doesn't grow as fast. But when I start adding my urine in there, where it's just pure water, oh my, and like with minerals in there, oh my God, it grew in just a couple weeks compared to like several months.
In a weird way, you're kind of eating your urine, and I don't know that.
I didn't want to mention it because I didn't want to come off as like a superpowered plant person. But,
No, not at all, man. I'm not.
after weeks of garden watering plants in my mom's garden, we just had a biology assignment to do where you could get extra credit for growing beans or I don't know what else it was, whatnot. And so far, I just like my beans have skyrocketed everybody else. And I don't know how I did it. And it didn't happen until I started watering my mother's plants.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Ash. Go ahead. I was just gonna say, talk to your plants. That's it. That's all I was gonna. Yeah.
The book, have any of you read I didn't finish it yet, but The Secret Life of Plants, and it just tells you like how all the plants are alive and they feel, they can pick up all the senses.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And the more we in tune ourselves to that, the more connection we can feel. It's a pretty good book.
Oh yes, Ash, I actually have that book. I love it, And the thing is, that's how I actually began to garden more often. And like seriously, that's the day that whenever I start reading about plants and how they grow, I found out that their greatest food isn't like some of the things that we thought it is. It turns out to be our waste. The things that we throw out from our bodies, like urine, and that's how I start feeding it.
Hey, manure, man. Yeah.
And in fact, and here's the funny thing: if you use it with earthworms, it will maximize that grows to the point where it just you don't know when that plant is going to grow. Like
Well, from my knowledge of gardening, and I haven't started my garden yet, but I've been doing a lot of studying the past year, and I'm pretty sure it has a lot to do with the pH balance, and it also depends on what you're growing. So pissing on your plants could potentially be good or bad, I guess.
So what? So Devin, you're saying don't go pee on all your plants? Way to kill it, man!
I wouldn't recommend pissing on all your plants. No.
You know, if I were you, if I ever happen to piss on my plants, I would have to check my diet. You know, because I know that what I put in is. I'm very cautious of what I
Hey,
put
it's a
in.
little bit of science, you know. You gotta make sure you're eating the right liquids, drinking the right liquids, and all that. If you're just
Yeah.
drinking say Red Bull, I don't think it's gonna survive.
Hey, I don't know. No, like seriously, do you guys notice that when I was in China, I had several people survive on pee. They just drink
No
the
way.
whole entire life, and yet they survived.
Do you guys know about this really bizarre thing
I
they do in
just realized
China?
what I call it Red Bull.
They take boiled eggs. And they don't boil it in water, my friends. They boil it in little boys' pee. I'm not joking. This is a cultured thing in cities in China. You can just go on the streets, and if you're going to work, you can be like, you know what? There's a little stand here, and they're selling
Like
boiled
a pickled
eggs that
egg.
they boiled in pee. And I'm gonna eat it. It's gonna be cultured, and I'm gonna feel like a. I don't know. I think it's really bizarre. I don't know what to make of that.
Well, like seriously, like of course I know it's bizarre to all of us because we're so used to drinking water, but the thing is the funny thing is actually pee. If you were to like ignore all the bad smell and everything and ignore all the bad diet, it is actually a very therapeutic method. In fact, I actually have a chance where I read this scripture in the Buddhist scriptures, and even in Christianity, they recommend that if you happen to get sick, you drink pee.
No, I've run across
I've
that
heard
too,
that.
Andy,
I've heard
and it
that.
was just it's crazy because it. I mean, in a sense, it makes total sense. It's all you, if you will. So
Right.
you're running you through you, but I mean, still.
I would have to be in the desert. Like
I
that.
have a question then. Okay, the movie Waterworld, I don't know if you've all seen it, Evan Costner, he filters his pee with some weird device on his boat before he drinks it every time, because from my understanding, you can't survive forever off of your urine. I mean, maybe, and even when
You
I
can't
watched...
survive forever off of water, for that matter.
Correct. Well, I mean, when I was watching an episode of Man vs. Wild once, he drank his piss when he was
Like every
stuck.
episode when he does that?
No, it only. Yeah, that's what is his name? Bear Grylls. He
Yeah.
does like his pee. I'll tell you what. But,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
like he said that it lasts like a day or two that you can survive off of it. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
Devin, like, here's the thing, like, you ever heard of, like, how, in that scenario, you only survive a couple of days, but I actually heard some people in China, they survive on pee for 23 years.
Yeah,
I'm not joking.
apparently.
Some of them are
Apparently-
I've seen
Is there a
80-year-olds doing that.
benefit to this? Is there a benefit to
Oh,
it?
yeah,
or
a
is it
lot.
just-
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Like apparently, self-urine therapy dates back 5,000 years to ancient India, where it's known as, I'm not going to embarrass myself because I can't pronounce it at all, and seeing as a way of rejuvenating body and soul. Yeah, it's highly sterile. The Aztecs used it to prevent wounds from becoming infected. The practice is particularly popular in China, where millions of people drink a daily dose of their own urine.
You know,
Some fans of the
Yeah.
Bible recommend urine therapy. A verse in Proverbs advise, drink waters from thy own, flowing water from thy own well.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
also
speaking of
in
like
the
using it as
Buddha
a remedy,
also,
there's a jellyfish thing that can happen if you get stung by a certain
Yeah,
type
and
of
if
jellyfish.
you pee on it, yeah.
It'll actually relieve the poisonous nature of it. And I just learned that in
yeah,
biology.
yeah, in fact, that's the funny thing. In fact, like, what's even funnier is that, have you ever known how even when you eat or drink something, you always set a good intention before you eat, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess
Yeah.
what? I heard that somehow in many of the Buddhist settings where if you happen to have this moment where you just need to go drink urine, you have to set an intention that I'm going to do it because I do it for the benefits of all beings. That's in the Buddhist tradition. The next thing you know, bam, you live through it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been reading a lot about the power of intention, and there's actually a lot of science going on
Hey,
about
Rex.
it right now.
Yeah, we actually ended up, hey, what's going on? Namaste.
Rex, I know you. I tried messaging you for years, and man, where have you been?
Dude, he
I've
went
been
with the rest of the
undercover.
dinosaurs. That was a joke.
No, like seriously, I've been creating shows for weeks, and you didn't even come. Where have you been?
God,
I had to take care of a bunch of vampires I told you about. I didn't want to bring it up, but anyway, don't want to make the show about me. So just keep continuing this conversation, guys.
You better call Bucky.
Dude, Rex, do you have any
You
knowledge? No, like I want to hear from this guy. Do you have any knowledge about urine therapy? Because seriously, I love learning about this. I tried
Oh,
drinking my.
okay.
I tried drinking my urine, and it's
I have no
ridiculous.
choice. I'm gonna tell you what I know, and because I was watching this on YouTube, and I was like, you know what, I cannot let you hijack this whole entire conversation based on urine. Okay, so I'll just say this is what I do. This is my technique. This is my technique on urine. This is what I have. My 2 cents.
Everybody listen up. Everybody listen up.
Okay. So this is what it is. Instead of drinking urine, instead of drinking it, what you do is it's like you practice that. You know the Ouroboros, right? Instead of like cycling the energy into like, so you drink and then you pee it out, and you drink, you pee it out. And doing that, what you do is, this is the technique I use, which is basically you drink a certain amount and then you hold it. You hold it. You don't drink too much water. Just imagine your body is like a car, and it has a certain amount that it can hold. And if you go too much, then you have no choice but to release that certain amount. But if you can keep it underneath like a certain amount, then you can just like, it's like a meditation. You're using the muscles in your stomach to grip and not allow the liquid to be released. So when you do that, it's like you're holding the energy in.
It's
So
sort of like you're accepting that
energy,
power. You're accepting that sort of like the feeling, maybe like the uncomfortableness of it. You're sort of like letting it get past through you.
Yes, and instead of having to cycle it out, you just hold it in, and then like you're sweating. So that's what it is. Instead of like peeing it out, you sweat it out, and that's the whole thing about sweat. Like,
it's an intense.
I think sex is based off of sweat. You know what I mean? And that's where the sexual energy comes from. When you sweat, you're like releasing this energy. It's connected into your genital, your sacral, and when you hold it in, and instead of peeing or like any of that, you just hold it in. It takes a lot of focus, a lot of like meditation, and it's better workout than anything. And then that's where you get like, you feel alive, and you don't have to drink or eat. That's like a meditation like that. That's the urine meditation. Then you don't pee, but you don't let it go. You just hold it in, and it's like it gives you this focus. Like it grounds you in your body instead of just being all intellectual all the time. You feel rooted, you know what I mean? And you can release, but when you do release, it's like your body is like, it's this weird thing where you get, I'm talking about myself. This is when you finally choose to release liquid, it's like your stomach is like empty, and it doesn't feel hunger. It's like you have mastery. It's hard to explain, but basically
I get that. It's sort of like yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's like,
you could experiment it. You could try. You don't have to go the whole like what do you call it? Liquidarian, breatharian, or fruitarian. Just those all are methods to help enhance your life, so you can connect with your breath, because that's what it all is. It's basically when you connect to your diaphragm. That's all it is. It's your breath. It's not about urine. It's not about releasing. It's about holding in the energy, which is air, chi, right? Chi, blood, oxygen, brain. And you want blood-rich oxygen to your brain all the time. And that's what it is. It's the cycle of the blood to the... If you do that, you don't need anything else. I mean, food is just an excuse to connect refresh the blood. And if you do, like, I'll tell you what I do. I do Qigong, I do Tai Chi. It's all about, like, light movements. You don't want to do you don't want to, like, become like a muscle head. You know, that's what it is. They pump themselves up because that's what it is. You're pumping blood. You're pumping water. You're basically a balloon, and you're pumping yourself up like a mattress. But instead of pumping yourself up when you're resisting against Earth's gravity, Tai Chi, while you're like, I can't even do a pull-up, but I can like, I did it on a Marine. All I did is like, this is what I do. Like in Tai Chi, you see this movement where you go like up and down, and you just do like. What it is what you're doing when you're relaxing your body. You are in tune with energy, right? And all I did was he's like strong, hella, you could not put your hands out like this. And he just did that. He put his hands out, and all I did was lightly shift my weight down. And that's where the that's where the center of gravity is. If you master your center of the control, like you be one with the universe, nothing can stop you. Like no obstacles, nothing. You're invincible. I mean, that's what Bruce Lee was on before he died. He was talking about that stuff. He was just trying to break free and teach people like free your mind, dude. Don't listen to anyone who tells you you can't do anything. Just do what you want to do and just do it. And screw what anyone says because they
Go
don't
with your
know
flow.
shit
Find your own
about
answer.
you. They don't know anything about us.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
right.
sorry.
You're right, Rex. In fact, this is what happens. You guys might have noticed in some of my YouTube videos about how I do yoga and Tai Chi and everything. But like, here's the funny thing. I actually did 30 salutations with 33 breaths of fire and all crap like that. But I don't know how I activated one of my solar plexus energy. But like somehow throughout the days, I just literally couldn't even sleep, and yet I just feel energized throughout the whole day. It's almost like as though I got insomnia, and people think I was crazy. Like I only slept 4 hours. Like it was exactly what you said, Rex. Like I was just literally felt so energized in my whole entire life, and I just never
You
felt
know,
that way before.
you know what the government's trying to do? They're trying to keep us asleep because they're afraid of what happens when we activate us. Because that's why, like those media images, TV is not bad. Let me just tell you a secret. TV is not bad. It's basically a portal. It's a live portal that you could witness a window into a reality that's going on simultaneously. But the thing is, they use images. It's like a warfare, and if they can and they manipulate your mind. The thing, if they use your imagination against you by imagery, and if you know how to protect your mind and use only images that you believe in to enhance your ability to create and manifest, that's why we are powerful, and they don't want us to know that. If we knew that, you could create whatever you wanted, dude.
Yeah,
And
I
you
don't
do.
know.
I bet everyone in this
Yeah,
conversation can.
yeah,
Everyone
I
in this
know, Rex.
conversation can, because we are here for a reason.
Yeah, Rex, that's why I'm trying to tell you guys that since I'm actually one of the people who experienced some of the results of my own creativity, I'm giving you guys a heads up that if you guys happen to do any yoga poses that involves like the Dantians and just like what you said, Rex, like if it involves like your third eye, your heart chakra, or even your solar plexus, and if you exercise those three Dantians correctly, like like me, I don't even need to sleep 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours every day nowadays. I just
Andy,
only slept
Andy,
4.
Andy, Andy, you need to, okay, look, you need to tell them this is your ability, okay? You need to focus. You need to tell them, like, this is where Bruce Lee got his energy, okay? It's the heart chakra, but you have to release it through the vocals. And why do you think he goes like, woo? Like, where do you think that energy comes from, dude? It's like, it's in your heart, and you release it, you expand the energy, and you release it like sonic energy. That's why we're powerful, because you use sound. If you're a singer, if you use your voice is an instrument for creation. You are a creator. If you use your voice, if you speak, you are a creator. You're like your vibration. You're changing the molecules, and you're causing things to happen, and you don't even realize how important your words are. So you think carefully, because you're a magician, and anything you say happens. So you have to take consideration that whatever you say, you have to be responsible for, because the people around you, they're going to have to deal with that. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
please, you honor
Yes,
yourself.
it's people
Honor the
who
words that you say, and
people who
be
are you around
honorable.
that love you and you love
Thank you.
them. They may say like some pretty destructive things, but like it
Oh
shouldn't.
yeah.
You should be careful with that. You should definitely be careful with that. You don't know what you're
Yeah,
gonna
in fact,
put in
yeah.
them as well as yourself.
Yeah, in fact, do you know, Rex? I actually had a chance to actually talk to some people about how I actually uh, who I was when I was a child. I don't know about you, Rex, but like when a little kid, this is what happens is that I was 4 years old. I didn't even learn how to speak. But when I did speak, a couple months, it only took like only a few months later, I just automatically learned how to sing. Like it's part of my natural gift to sing or to even sing in any language. And then like people like look at me and say, "Wow," they're like, "Wow, you're like a Michael Jackson man." And
He's a late
I was
boomer,
like,
It's
but
funny that you
yeah,
said that. Like,
it's not
but
sort
like
of
he
a
I
came
late
back to
boomer.
that, dude. He was like a hologram.
Yeah, but
did you
like,
hear about that?
how is that some kids can be able to manifest that at an early age, you know? Because I'm trying to find out more of myself so that way one day if I didn't touch something about ourselves, we could be able to unleash that creativity before we were born or even when we're at an early age because we have so many gifts. If we were to keep it dormant, then basically we're letting the government win already.
Let me just tell you something. Reincarnation is real, and not only reincarnation, but simultaneous lives are real, meaning like overlapping lives that you didn't know are connected. Like, for example, you could be living in this time period, in this moment, but in the past life, you're living in the future, and it's like overlapping. So you're living your life in time frame, and then next thing you know, there's another version of you. Your soul is having another lifetime, but your consciousness is not only aware of one at a time. You know what I mean?
Have
So
you guys
right
ever
now
read
we could.
about Michael
Go
Newton?
ahead. Go ahead.
Have you ever heard of Michael Newton? He writes about the exact same phenomenon, and he's a trauma therapist. And what he does is that if you have like a traumatic memory and you say, "Oh, I have this pain in my lower left abdomen," and I go to doctors and they say like, "No, it's psychological. Man. You have nothing there. We're doing X-rays. We can't find anything." So then this trauma therapist he'll put you in under hypnosis, a very specific type of hypnosis that takes you back to memories that your brain had. There's no chance that it could take you back to a memory that you manifested, that you came up with. It takes you back to memories that you had. And what happens is that he puts people under, and they go back to like the Battle of Somme in World War I, where they got bayoneted in that lower left abdomen spot. And they after having that experience of the hypnosis, the pain is gone. They could go through that experience again, and all of a sudden the pain is gone because they it's like you were saying before with like keeping it in your stomach, keeping it in your diaphragm. You gotta you gotta go through it again, sort of, so you can learn your lesson.
Victor, here's something that I noticed.
Time travel.
Yeah,
time travel. Soul shards. That's what I call it. Soul shards. Like you, basically.
Yeah.
What is soul shards? I've never.
This is theory, or my assertion, or my feeling is that you ever heard of the movie like Jet Li, right? The one where he has to go and kill all. Yeah, but in that movie, they kind of turned into a sci-fi thing. But instead of, I'll explain to you what that really meant. But they turned it into a different thing. But basically, there are many versions of us. Yes. But in this life, not only the time linear thing that I was talking about, but in this life, you will have other versions of you literally out there that are basically copies of you. But what happens is like your hand is like this thing of yourself as God, right? Your fingers are each a part of you, right? But you stick your hand into like the water, but it's still a part of you. And even though the 5 fingers look different underwater, it looks distorted. But when you reunite with those other aspects of yourselves, you suddenly like, oh shit. So whatever they were learning, you re-assimilate that information right away. And when you see them eye to eye, you're like, oh god, and you have to see them again. You already re-assimilated back into your whole part of yourself, the greater whole. And things that you didn't have abilities before, you can finally do.
Kind of like that guy. I haven't like looked too much into it, but like I always see stuff for like quantum jumping, like where you can go and talk to your other self that might know how to paint, or whatever it may be, to go learn that lesson from them and then integrate that into this reality.
No, it's interesting because like I think one of the major tools, if you're somebody who denies these kind of ideas and you just like, no, there's just no way, lucid dreaming. I've been doing that since the 8th grade. I'm in grade 11. It's the reason I'm on this chat right now is because I lucid dream. And I'll tell you, I spent nights flying. I spent nights swinging through New York as Spider-Man, and I could feel the inertia.
Oh!
Inertia? When you're in a car and the car stops, you can feel your organs go forward as the car stops.
Yes.
I could feel it. I could feel it all. I could feel it all. When you're swinging, I could feel everything. And the funny part is after a while, you sort of get. It's amazing how bored you get of flying. How bored you get of being Spider-Man. I did so many things, and I don't remember any of it because I was stupid and I didn't have a dream journal. But I had so many experiences, and like I think it's just so fascinating.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I just want to jump in really, really quick and just drop this little
Something.
tidbit of knowledge because Rex, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this. But no, just on the reincarnation tip, I personally believe reincarnation is very real. But just to give you guys a heads up, you cannot reincarnate in China without the government's permission. Found that out. They passed that a little while ago.
Wait,
Yeah,
what? Wait, what?
yeah.
Wait,
You cannot reincarnate in China
What?
without the government's permission.
Wait, what?
Say what?
No, I am quite serious. I posted the link on my Facebook. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I thought that was really fun.
Dude, God, you got to
What kind of people?
I gotta
What kind of
ask
people do you think
Sherman,
that you're not allowed?
Dude,
What's good in the hood?
dude,
what's the
seriously,
government
Sherman.
control on
Huh?
this, Sherman?
Dude, Sherman.
What'd you say?
No,
How
like,
do they
seriously, I
control
was about
that?
to
What's
reincarnate to
the- how do
China,
they say
seriously.
they decide? How do they decide?
Did you guys?
Do they put a stamp on the casket, and says this one reincarnates? I'm just curious as to what they say they do to
Oh no, no, I'm actually on my Facebook now looking for like the news article link because when I saw it, like I was like, this is crazy. Yeah, there we go. China bans reincarnation without government permission. I'll post it for you guys. I just thought it was so funny.
What
Yeah.
kind of people do you think they'd restrict? Just to play with the idea, what kind of people do you think China would restrict from being
Oh,
reincarnated?
are you kidding me? I don't know. It's like any and everyone.
the second or third female born to the family?
Dude, seriously, like, here's the thing.
Brilliant. That is
Dude,
brilliant.
seriously, here's the thing. Do you know that, when the government bans reincarnation in China, I was about to reincarnate in China, like, in my past life, Tibet, because I was one of those Buddhist people out there, but then somehow I found myself in Bhutan.
Guys, we don't have to incarnate physically. There's an
As long as we
I'm talking about my past life.
Correct. Your energy reincarnates, not yourself. Yourself is an illusion.
Well, that's the
Yes.
point. Like, somehow my energy
Bruce
somehow.
Lee, don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but like somehow my energy so much resides in Bhutan, and somehow like China really killed it.
My brother is joining the conscience conversation.
But about just the reincarnation. Something interesting I was reading was and watching some videos was about all these cases where these children were being born, and from the moment they started to speak, ages like 1.5, 2, they started to talk about their lives with other families, lives like they would describe the places, the geographical, like they with
Was
such
that on
specificity. And but it was just the what they found is out of 90% of all these cases, it was trauma that they found that these people had died in past lives, and it's almost like the trauma could carry along across across into the physical reality there, and they can remember, and it's just amazing to see some of the like one of the I'll just tell you a little story about one of the cases. It was this one kid who was talking about like he would say he was reincarnated as his grandfather. He would go into like the room, and his parents would be like looking through old photos, and he'd be like, oh, that's me, that's me at a young age, that's my first car, and they're thinking like, how does this kid know all this? And what really got me like was like, wow, like, they were having a sit down at dinner, and they would ask him like, oh, did you have any brothers or sisters? Because they sort of knew that the grandfather didn't. They knew that he was just an only child, and the kid says, yes, I did. Yeah. The kid says, yes, I did I had a sister, and they were like, what? Like, what's going on? And then they like look into it further, and they found out that what the kid said is that they turned her into a fish and took her away. Now that like when they found out, what they found is they actually
had a sister.
Yeah, well, the sister was murdered and thrown into the lake down by the road where they lived. So. Yeah, it's like the memory, the way they portrayed the memory wasn't completely accurate, but it was still there. You know what I mean?
It's from a child's perspective. It's as a child would see how a child would perceive that.
Yeah, and explain it in that way. Yeah, it was just some really Yeah, and it's just pretty cool.
They
Did you
can't
hear
kill
about
us.
the
They
Japanese
can't
pilot,
kill
the
us.
one
They
with
can kill our
the
bodies, but we
American
just
pilot?
like I don't know about you, but when you described me how you were having a lucid dream or hypnosis and you flying, I actually had this one lucid dream where I was actually a Viking warrior and a general where I just slaughtered the whole entire army
Guys,
of
we're just
Celtics and
actors.
I'm so jealous.
No matter how
I'm
many
so
times
jealous.
it was
That's
missed,
sick.
we're still gonna come back and fix this. This is our mess. We made this mess. We have to fix this. E.T. come home, we gotta fix
like
this
seriously,
shit. And we came
Victor,
from
do you
all
have
over.
any idea about what's going on like inside of my lucid dream? Because seriously, like I don't know about you guys, but like I keep getting lucid dreams where I either A, killed so many people and there were blood all over the place, or
But
B,
you're not. But just tell me this: in your waking life, you're not a violent person, are you?
well, I do have sometimes angry moments a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all go through that. That's pretty normal. But you're probably just not aggressive all the time.
No, okay, I understand what Andy's trying to say because he's brought this up a lot. Okay, I've been studying this, and I'm trying to like psychoanalyze you and stuff, and I'm not, but actually, what it is like you have to exercise your demons once and for all, and
Yeah.
you have to like face yourself, bro. I mean, I conquered myself, my demons a long time ago, but I use my demons I don't use it to hurt anyone. I fight myself because I'm the only one that can handle myself at full power, and I know it. And I know if you see me, if I express myself and I sound crazy, it's not. And I want to let you know, you're not the only one. You're not the only berserker out there, okay? You're not the only berserker out there. Like Odin has a lot of berserkers. You know, Vikings doesn't matter if you're Asian now, white, black, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know, right? But like,
And
that's what. But like, here's the funny thing is that I was actually in the lucid dream. I was actually the leader of the whole gang, and it happens to be that right now I'm leading a group of children.
I actually have bought in a past life report from an astrology website I've been following for about 9 years. They do all kinds of things like I Ching, tarot, astrology, uh, and all kinds of different reports. And one of the reports I bought was the Edgar Case past life report. And of course, you got to know the second you were born and within like a 50-mile radius, because of the way astrology works, it's heavily based on that. It's based on just or anyone else. In my case, born on 903 and March 12th, 1988. Anyone else that was not born within a 50-mile radius of me at that exact time has came into this earth plane, into a different embodiment, which usually is an embodiment that lacks everything that their previous life had.
Yeah.
And that's because your challenge in this life, is to figure out how to be happy
With those
with
circumstances.
Correct, and it keeps recycling until your soul or whatever you call it is complete. This is the basis of reincarnation, in Western astrology.
I really recommend the book by Michael Newton. The things he says, the ideas he had, they talk about the life between lives. That's the fascinating part. It isn't the idea that you come back into another life after you die. It's that there's a whole nother part in between. That's the life between lives, and it's such an abstract world that he describes of colors and layers. It's so fascinating to read about.
What's
Whether it's real or
fascinating
not, I
about
love the idea.
reincarnation also is that, according to it, you have no self. The person you are today in reality is not your soul, it's not your energy, it's just this shell. And it's really egotistical to kind of say that you reincarnate, because in reality you don't. You are the reincarnation, and your body is sort of the shell for the process to take hold.
You're playing a role. You're playing a role. You're playing a role in this crazy world of
Right.
such a story, and you're playing your part for a little while. It's just a ride.
And now, when it comes down to that, I don't think every energy necessarily meshes. I do believe that I carry the same energy that's reincarnated however many times. And
You
that's
definitely carry on ideas. You carry on sort of attributes. You know?
I actually read
if you're a wild
recently
one, you
that
come back as a
for DNA. Read an article recently about how DNA. They recently improved. I don't know exactly how, but that the DNA has the potential to carry
memories.
memory.
Memories, yeah. I also heard about that. I
So,
don't know how what maybe is it traumatic? Is it traumatic memories? Do you think, or do you think because alcoholism they say runs down through? Like, what kind of memories do you think you could pass on through DNA? Lessons that somebody learned, courage.
yeah,
But I think it's already in. You know, everything's already in our DNA. We just have to activate those
Mm.
strands in order to, know what we already know.
uh,
It's not about
I
knowledge,
agree. I agree
guys.
to I agree a little
It's
bit
not
with
about
that, but I
knowledge.
also believe that our DNA is evolving like everything else on this earth. I do wish it
It's not so much about like reclaiming it. It's so much like allowing it to manifest, like bubble to the surface, because it's already there. And all you
Right.
have to do is get activated in the right situation where
potential.
you're like, like, you remember Born Identity when Jason Bourne in the first movie, the police officers come and touch him, right? And I thought like, oh, okay, and he remembers, like he just beats the living shit out of them. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
reflexive. It's inside you. You're like ancestral DNA. You remember shit. Like that's what
Right.
I tell you. To tie into the reincarnation theme, whatever you learn, you earn, you keep. That's why material wealth is meaningless because all these lots. Like if I learn Wing Chun, I will remember Wing Chun for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like my teacher gave me information, and I will never forget that. And I can always
Yeah, it's
protect myself
powerful
and kick
stuff.
ass
I
whenever I
get
need
goosebumps.
to.
I actually did get
That's
goosebumps.
what that's. Yeah.
Everybody has a deck of cards, but nobody knows how to open that deck.
I like that.
Hey,
What
hey,
you learn is
hey,
what
can you
you
guys
keep.
hear me?
That's a good way to kind of take away from
Yeah,
the materialistic world. And so I think that's a great way of putting it.
you are through. You are in through and through. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, what's really interesting about when you're saying about the illusion of this sense of self, talking about this, like during that reincarnation, the gap between the sort of the coming into another
The
physical life or
experience.
however it is,
This right now. This is the experience.
Yeah, well, I just when with my experiences and other experiences I've read about people having take like ayahuasca or DMT, it just feels it's the oddest feeling of just complete familiarity. It's like
Yeah.
this is where I've been. This is where my friends. This is all the people I've known. It's like you realize that it's so strange and absurd and hard to try to describe
But
or
also you're at
comprehend, but
home. It feels like you're at home.
that's it. It just feels like you've been there millions of times before. That this is just the place that you always were. I don't know. It's pretty
No,
crazy.
you're right. It's being in the womb. You're basically you're living
I know
in the
you're talking
womb. That's what it is.
like
Some of
at
the
least
people
for
who
me.
have mental breakdowns, that's what happens.
If you guys,
Like that's what it is.
if anyone's interested, I'll go ahead and post or copy and post. It's about 2 or 3 pages in single space, but my reincarnation report that contains one that I've done. It has a little bit in between there on how it kind of does a good job at putting into words. At least for me, it did on how the energy shift happens in between. Uh, the reincarnation. So if any of you guys are interested, I'd be glad to copy and paste it for you for the time.
Alright, guys. Is there anything
I've
else?
honestly bought these reports for about 15 of my non-believing friends when it comes to things like this, and every one of them has thanked me. The oldest one being about 7 years ago, and he still to this day thanks me and says he goes back and reads it, as well as a few other people I've gotten it. So I mean, I wouldn't share something that I didn't strongly feel for myself, and I really feel like it does a great job at putting into words something that's pretty hard to do.
You guys ever see past lives in the faces of people you know? It doesn't even have to be people that you've lived with your whole life. When you meet somebody and you're like, I kind of have a connection with you. You meet like a new person and you kind of just have the same wavelengths. You spend enough time with them, you start to figure out things that they wouldn't expect you to know about them. Sort of like attributes or those little things that you talk about, like opinions on certain other people's behavior, or whether it's anything. People kind of recognize the same things when coming into new lives. that may have happened within another. It's all there's so many factors in reincarnation that need to be talked about. I hate when people just dismiss it.
Yeah, I know. I agree 100%. I mean, it's one of, the laws of energy. What it goes somewhere always. It doesn't just disappear. And I think that's your first key, that our energy doesn't disappear. I mean, why would that be a universal law? I guess you can't say
You guys,
really universal, but
I have a theory, like wherever your body dies is where you has to be reborn, if you want to. Like that, like you ever heard the story of these two World War II fighters who were like pilots, and they crashed over in like somewhere, like for example China, or like a small village, and then they get reborn as twins, and then they remember everything about their lives, like they know stuff about the airplane and stuff, and about everything. So like the
did
whole
they
idea, like
reincarnate
wherever
in the
you
village that
die.
they crashed in?
yeah, I read a story about a guy who was able to name World War II fighter planes down to every little detail at the age of 2, and
Yeah,
he
I heard that
recalled
one.
that he used to fly. Yeah, it's quite an interesting story.
That was that blonde American boy, right? And he even went back to the spot where he supposedly that his previous life crashed, and he started breaking down because he recognized it.
Yeah. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, and also, I just want to add one last thing before, if you guys have nothing else you want to say, but like, for the whole idea of like where you guys, I want you to remember this. Like, we think sometimes too logically, and we focus on the left side of the brain. But what you need to do is to realize the subconsciousness is what we're really speaking to when we talk to someone, and it doesn't matter if they're resisting us on a superficial level. When you talk to someone and you're talking to them like to their, because everyone is awake, okay? They all are ascender or whatever you want to call it. They're all gifted, but they have resistance built up. You know what I mean?
It's all by the senses.
Yes.
You're talking to a mirror. You're talking to a mirror of the same guy who's everyone. And that same guy sometimes chooses to not do something or to not know something, but he knows. He knows, and it's just a matter of awareness, spreading that awareness.
Alright. And remember, everything's like dreamscape. Just that's all I want you to remember. Think about that. Like try to think in terms of like surrealism. Don't think so literal. Be like, if someone argues like, no, it isn't, you'd be like, okay. And you try to just give them space, and then eventually you can come back to them and reach out to them, because we gotta save everyone, man. There is no like, oh, there's only the chosen people. We are all the chosen people. It's all or nothing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes.
Exactly.
I agree. On the same note, what was that?
Brofist. Alright, I gotta go, you guys. But it was nice meeting you all, and I hope to see you. I posted all my socials, so maybe you guys will catch me. Okay?
I may have to talk to you in a lucid dream.
Man, I'm trying to see if I can get my buddy to come in here. I don't know. How much longer is this running for?
Is Skull is still in the chat. Is like, what happened to him?
He's probably just listening in, dude. Probably just there.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
Getting some information down.
Yeah. So I recently read an article about I don't remember what university it was, one of the higher end universities, but they created this machine that supposedly prints what people are thinking in words in a text to a screen.
Oh.
And I used to always fantasize about a device that could kind of put what I was visualizing in my brain on a screen. I think it's a great step towards it. I think it's a really cool article. You guys should look it up.
They managed to do that with a cat. They had a cat stare at like slow framed images of like an elephant walking across like a field, and they managed to recreate it with blood cells, and you can see the blood cells like kind of outlining an elephant as this cat was looking at an image, or like, sort of like a gif of an elephant walking across a plain. They managed to recreate, and this is like the first step in like recording dreams, and that's something I want so bad because I've been lucid dreaming for a long time. I really want to share those lucid dreams, and I don't remember lucid dreams very often. not very good at it. I'm more better at going into a lucid dream and finding lucidity than I am remembering what I did in the morning.
What about are you?
Do you induce yourselves into those states? Sorry, I interrupted.
I am what I do is I just spend the entire day incubating that I'm gonna have a lucid dream, and whether I can choose what I want to do, I say to myself I will have a past memory. And
Have you ever
it's
had
something-
any success with actual projection?
Oh man, I don't know for sure because you have to tackle the question, what is astral projection to
Right.
dream? If you're having a dream and it's somewhere you've been, are you astral projecting in that area, or are you just creating it within your dream? Like that's a question that needs to be really tackled among scientists. Is astral projection?
It's something I
no, a
definitely want.
lot of people get astral project. Well, isn't it what like their mind prematurely wakes, but their body is still asleep, and the same can happen if you put your body to sleep, but your mind is still awake, and then you're pretty much.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that.
I've done it once and I haven't been able to like do it since. I don't know if it's because like me being so it makes me nervous. Like I want to do it, but I don't know if it's like my subconscious is just like I'm already tripping myself out to the point where I can't do it now.
When you
Sometimes
did
I get too
Ash,
excited. I wake up.
Ash, I have a question. When you did it, was it slightly terrifying the way it felt on your body?
It made me nervous, the sound, because it sounds like a train is coming. You know what I mean? And your body's like vibrating real bad. But I think like when it happened, like I rolled out and I went through the wall into our computer room. And so it took me a second. I was like, okay, how'd I get in here? But then everything came into focus. Then I walked out and like in our little
Were you able to see yourself sleeping? I hear that's one of the defining factors that you are actually projecting is that you will as opposed to a dream where you can't look at yourself.
Yeah.
Well, no, because when I did it, how my bed is, when I rolled out, I just went through the wall into the next room.
Right.
So I wasn't able to see. No.
Well, I hear it takes practice to control, but I don't know if I've experienced it. I think if not, I've experienced definitely an OBE, which may have not been actual projection.
Isn't that the same thing, or how do you distinguish?
It's kind of interchangeable.
Well, I think it's really similar because my friend he had one of these. I would I guess if you want to classify it, I classify it more as an OBE, just because of the fact that he woke up and he said he was sleep paralysis. He couldn't move, and he said he could just slowly feel himself rising, and he said he could see himself sleeping down like. And then he said he just went into a bit of a shock and snapped back into it.
Did he lose his eyesight during during it happening?
I haven't asked him that, but what's really interesting actually is I don't know, I've been actually trying to do it like every night, even some mornings I try to just put my body into sleep paralysis. But last night, I don't know, it felt like last night it was just I was trying it again. I was laying down and my heart just started to like at the same time as I just felt strange, absurd, like my whole body was vibrating. My heart was just I couldn't believe it.
And
it was just
very intense vibration.
But then you psyched yourself out probably, right? And then
I tried. I really tried to stay calm. I really did, but I think that I eventually calmed down, and then it was gone. It wasn't there, but I just felt like I was so close. I don't know. I just hadn't. I'd never. Yeah, it was just really. It was really strange. But
I hear it's the vibration so intense that about 9 out of 10 people's first experience will scare them away from trying to do it.
Yeah. And see, before I even started any of my spiritual journey, I saw the movie Insidious, which probably was not the best reference.
No, but it really is. It is a great movie that touches on that, though. It really is.
And I think like from there, it's like I was like thinking the words like, oh my gosh, and so it's like
that you're gonna be stuck there.
Right, but it's like
I used to freak out about that too, but like I just sort of like drilled into my head that the good thoughts outweigh the bad thoughts. You gotta focus on like the point between serenity and rage.
Right, you want to vibrate really high, from what I understanding. Low vibrating entities or spirits are the dangerous ones, and if you are vibrating low when you project or have an OBE, you're really susceptible. That's if you believe in such
But
things.
but you know
But
what?
you're really susceptible to their effects and them actually taking and sucking your energy. This is what I read after my OB because it scared the shit out of me personally.
So you started the
Uh,
research on it?
I basically lost control of my body and I lost my I guess what you'd call consciousness for about 20 minutes. What felt like 20 minutes. My girlfriend was the only one that was there. She said it was about 30 seconds, and then about 2 minutes, so I got my eyesight back. And
What was left?
when I
What was
what's
left
that?
of
Were
you?
you?
Like, you talk about sleep paralysis, like when you get back, like
I'm talking about what I feel is the outer body experience I had. And there's a few things that I think induced it as well, but on the same note, uh, basically, essentially, what happened is I kind of started convulsing. I don't remember this part, but I started convulsing and fell on the ground and was screaming. My girlfriend's name was the only word I could get out. And then once my consciousness, I just felt this intense fear, like really. I I've never experienced a fear like I didn't sleep for 2 days after this happened. It was just I don't know how to explain it. It was just a really bad energy. And when I came back, I thought I was naked on the ground with paramedics around me, but it's because I still didn't have my eyesight back. And suddenly, after this happened, I could not read enough about it. Obviously, wanted to do it again, but at the same time, I didn't want it to go that way. And
Yeah.
I read one of the most important things is that how you're vibrating, and I know I tend to be a low vibrating uh, person. And the thing is when are you encounter similar vibrating entities, and if you're going to step out of this plane, you need to be prepared more or less. I've even read about making a light sword when you're astral projecting, so to speak.
Find your way back with it,
Because
or just
but
right,
mellow
like
you
but
out?
what I think it comes down to is that we have to actually believe that we're powerful, and it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what's coming at
right,
us, that we
I
can
think that's what
stop it.
stopped me.
Do you know the Merkaba meditation?
Oh yeah,
They,
yeah.
they say, Brunzel Melchizedek will speak of this. He'll say, if you have the potential to go through physical objects, and the thing is, when you're in that sort of mind state, when you're in an OB experience, you're drifting through walls, you're doing all these things, you're flying through the galaxy, you're seeing alien entities. But the thing is, there's a part of you that will know that in the physical reality, like the solid nature of everything, you know that you can't go through the wall. And if you leave that in there, if you leave that restriction in you, you'll never be able to achieve perfect Merkaba.
Right, because it's not limited by your five senses that you've evolved to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Right.
so it's
Wait.
your brain has only evolved, at least to our knowledge, around five senses. Some will claim maybe one or two more, and even with seven senses, I don't really know if we have the, the capability to fully grasp it. I think it's more being than believing, more doing than understanding, because I feel that's kind of part of what has stopped me from being able to do it on purpose, as well as what freaked me out so bad when it did happen to me is I'm such a scientific mind. Even though it's spiritual as I am being a Pisces and a daydreamer, I'm such a scientific mind. I need fact behind my reason,
It's important to be
to an
skeptical.
extent.
Skepticism
To an
keeps you fed.
extent. And I think my brain kind of exploded, sort of, because it was definitely from left field when it happened. And
Yeah.
I know from taking hallucinogens and other intoxicants that when I lose full control of my body, it's a very panicky mode for me. You know, depending on the situation, but there's kind of a solace in it. But still, at the same time, I have to go through this process of losing control, which is really hard for me. And I think that's part of the reason because I personally do feel that I was, kind of, fed off of, so to speak, because everything that I've read, like I didn't sleep for about 2 days after. And you can do some reading about OBs and low vibrating entities and such. And even there's even such things as astral rape. And I don't know if you guys want to even read about that before you
I've
learn
heard
it,
of
but
that.
Yeah, I heard about
yeah.
that.
So when you're doing these things, your energy could be susceptible to other things that understand your energy so much. Maybe not better than
Things
we do, because I
that
think
can
we
read
all
you. You
understand
come
it.
across
But
things that can read your negativities and kind of like play with that and maybe even
right,
take advantage of your faultiness.
right,
Hmm.
and that's why
But
I'm so intrigued on trying it again. But at the same time, uh,
The
I
fear
don't know how.
behind it.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
It's very intense. Honestly, it was a life changing experience. It happened like maybe a little less than 2 years ago for me, and
You
it's
said that you
actually
didn't have that. You said you were away from your consciousness.
correct. And what I mean by that,
What
it's
was left
very
of Devin? What was left of Devin in that state? How much of Devin was in there?
not a lot, to be honest. I didn't know
Yeah.
who I was. If I could try to let me try to explain it. So basically, as soon as I fell out, all I felt was that intense, just gross. I hate to call it fear. I don't fear a lot of things, and that's not even
Anxiety,
egotistical pride, not even anxiety, because I do suffer from anxiety constantly. And this was just
claustrophobic.
more, this was, no, not even. It was, yeah, I guess more relatable to a claustrophobic feeling, yes, but it was like just a pure uh, panic. And what I mean by I wasn't there is basically, for one, I couldn't speak. And the one word I did speak was my girlfriend's name, who was the only one there with me. And when I was speaking it, I was screaming it at a pitch so high in my head that it hurt my ears. But when I came to, and after I talked about it with my girlfriend, I was screaming her name, but not like I kept asking her. She said it was a little high, but it was nowhere near to like how I heard it. And also, it wasn't like, okay, my normal Devin is okay. I'm gonna panic. I'm thinking about what I'm panicking. I'm analyzing why I'm panicking about it, and then I'm gonna do something about it. I'm gonna think. I'm gonna process this. This was more just like a react. This was just like I didn't decide to scream her name. Okay, it just happened. It was just what was left in me. I had
It was
no
the flow. It was
control
the
over
flow you
what I
had.
wanted my brain to do. It was basically, I think, like a ditch move to kind of pull myself back.
Back together.
Right, exactly, because it kind of like really just shattered my will for a second. And I've always believed in such things, and I've experienced mm, somewhat similar things in my past. I can only count them on maybe both my hands, but this was by far the most intense, and this is the first time. Besides, meditation is still something that I'm working on and getting real good at, but that transcendental feeling. This is probably the closest I've ever been to it. That feeling of disconnection from my my ego. There was no thought process for me for that. What felt was 30 minutes. And like I said, when I came back, I was talking to a group of people, thinking they were paramedics there, and I thought I was naked. When I came back, I didn't have my eyesight, but I had my conscious, and I was able to say things besides her name, and I started saying things like "calm down, everyone." After I calmed down my girlfriend, I started saying "calm down, everyone," and where are my clothes? And she's starting to say things like, who are you talking to? Then all of a sudden, when my vision came back, my instinct was to just grab her and run into that closet with
What was your
the
environment at the
apartment.
time?
I was in the apartment we were living in. Uh, it was about 3 in the morning, and you know,
That
I just fell out. I was on
seems
bed,
like
and
a very important factor in having these experiences. You don't want to be in an empty warehouse where
right,
and you're tripping on mushrooms. You can't. You got to
right.
be in the right state of mind. You got to be in the right area. You got to be
And let me
because
just say that this wasn't psychedelic induced. I
no,
know I've been
you
doing
wouldn't
that
say it
one.
was like
This,
that.
yeah, but I agree absolutely. But I don't know if it was necessarily the feel of the environment as much as maybe the spirits around there. It was an old place where people have been living and probably dying for a good amount of time, and there was a lot of other weird things that had happened in our apartment. But needless to say, I didn't sleep for a couple days afterwards, and you
And
know,
probably too, you know what I mean, when that happened and you got, you were like, oh my gosh, what's going on? When you get not scared, but you know what I mean? And when it's
Like,
out the
what
norm, you go into
experience did I
panic
just have?
mode.
Like, you're like, what
right.
did I just experience?
Right.
But that's what was weird about it is like during it happening, I didn't have the ability to process thoughts like that. And that's what I mean by I wasn't myself. Is there was no processing thoughts. There was just me screaming her name, which I couldn't even stop or start even. You know, if you understand what I'm saying. Like I wasn't. I've I've never done that. I have people that I go out and drink with, and there's people that can drink until they black out and they won't remember their night. And no matter how much I drink, I'm still gonna remember sleeping outside on the rocks somewhere. The next day. I never black out. I never lose control of my mindset. This was the first time it's ever really truly happened
It's
to
like
me,
rolling thoughts. You're
and it
thoughts
wasn't
after
by
others.
choice, which I also hear is a horrible way to go into this kind of thing. Is accident. From what I read, a lot of people have accidentally, uh, you know,
OBE.
Was it almost like you were, in a way, like how you're talking about describing your thought process? Was it almost like you are trailing behind your thought process in a way, like during one of
Well,
my
since
experiences?
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna I remember that I would try and think about what I'm doing, but I would have already done it, and it was just a constant, almost chase of me trying to think about what was happening with me doing it, and I could never get there. I could never. It was it was so strange, but
I used
yeah,
to joke
I don't
with
know.
my buddies back in high school when we were messing with LSD, and I would tell them, it's such an amazing experience, except that you're having such groundbreaking thoughts every millisecond that it's impossible to retain it before you've had 5,000 new ones. Is that kind of like what you mean? Um, it's like everything's groundbreaking to you.
It could be, but this wasn't LSD. It was
DMT, which
yeah, it
that's
was
what you
DMT, but
said,
yeah, it
but
was
they're not relatable at all. I don't want to say, but
I've
that's
heard
my
that everything you feel is familiar. Everything you feel in a DMT experience, everything is familiar. You've been through it before. You see information. I never understood that. You see information, but the thing is like it's not surprising to you. They say that it's like you're in a library, and it's like you've read everything in this library, and you're just looking at all the titles, and you're recalling
yeah,
all
man.
your favorite
Have you
parts.
ever done it yourself? Have you ever experienced it yourself?
I wish. I'm more of a Mary Jane type of person, but like I've never done a psych, and I'd love to, but I want to wait until I'm ready, honestly, because I lucid dream.
I also
I tend to lucid dream more than I do hallucinate.
I
yeah.
did.
What?
Go ahead.
Sorry, you can go.
I was just gonna say, I've taken mushrooms and LSD good handful of times. I've done LSD about 7 times, and I've done mushrooms maybe 4 times. And I've never done DMT, but I do have two friends that were fortunate to come across it. But from this chemist here, actually, who actually creates these chemicals himself, more than just the DMT. But when they had taken it, they accidentally ingested what was 10 doses, thinking it was 1 dose, and called the guy back, and he's like, "Whoa, wait, you took all that?" And I've heard their experience, and to me, it's a lot different than the spiritual experiences I've read where you do
That
it
is described.
Well, here's the thing though, man. I've done it myself, and it's funny when people. I don't think anyone can actually describe DMT. They can try to describe like you were just talking about before, man. During it, and when you do it in that, which probably your friends did, it's you either smoke it. It's not ayahuasca.
Right.
It's not the 4 or 5 hour lasting soup. It's last 5-10 minutes. It just as soon as you take it, it shoots you up into just fucking hyperspace. And like you were saying before, during it, it's like everything and anything you already there's no worry, there's no time, illusion is completely destroyed. There's no future or past. There's the
Do you
moment
find that huge
continuously
desire to
changing.
just go walking?
Sorry?
Did you have a desire to just go walking and just look at everything? Because
Oh man, I was walking around. I was looking. It was just, it was insane. And although the further I get away from it, the more of just a vague sort of memory it becomes. Because, like I said, it's incredibly hard to comprehend in your sort of like. It's weird because you know when you take, like you said, man, when you smoke or when you drink, you know, like any of that, you feel like you're still yourself, but something's different. You know what I mean? The way your brain's working, you know, either when you drink, take LSD, smoke weed, whatever it be, like but during this strange thing is it's you. It's nothing's changed. It's like you're standing there. 1 minute you're standing there, the next you're taking it, and you don't change, but everything around you is
Like
just starting to
somebody
just.
came in and hardwired everything and moved around the gears.
It's like a drug that's stimulating your consciousness instead of your physical, counterparts. Like you take some drugs like ecstasy that pump dopamine and serotonin in your body. This is more like a drug that, from what I've read and what makes me really want to try it, is just like a conscious high. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
everyone explains
what's
like,
interesting.
like a blast off. From what I've read and from what I've been told, I hear it is an intense blast off, and that's the most intense and best part, I guess. From what a lot of it read, is that kind of like first skyrocket off. It's almost too intense, but then afterwards, it's this clarity, and everyone really. I'm really curious to try it. At the same note, I'm a little standoffish because, for example, like LSD to me is an amazing chemical, and for me, it has always set my brain in a great place, and I've always enjoyed every time I've taken it. Now, mushrooms, on the other hand, is a very opposite story. I've had great experiences in my life, but also some of the worst experiences in my life, and I'm kind of less keen to letting my mind go from influences after some experiences.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, man. But like, with out of my experience anyway, because I've also done like LSD, mushrooms, but I would gladly, if I were to classify them and label them, I would gladly put all of these sort of drugs, and I'd maybe put them to the side and say recreational. You know, it's something that you could go, hey man, do you want to go do this, or hey man, do you want to go smoke some, or whatever it be. But this is like, do you want everything you've ever thought you've known, every single, to just be flipped on upside down and just it's not, you know, it's weird because with these other experiences where fear and your own sort of mind and perspective can change the experience, with the DMT, it's almost like these physical senses just disappear. I wasn't scared. It was just complete and utter content. Just I don't know. It's just.
Yeah,
I just can't
I first heard about ayahuasca and the treatment of opiate addiction actually a few years back before it kind of started becoming. That's what made it, from my knowledge, start becoming mainstream. A lot of people were paying quite a few $1,000s to go over, and have these tribes cook them up some ayahuasca tea or whatever have you, and then used it to get off of a 10-year heroin addiction, and it was working.
Yeah. But what's sad about it is kind of becoming commercialized. It's kind of becoming a touristy sort of thing in South America because it's becoming legal. If you guys ever do want to go, because I definitely plan to visit there sometime in Peru. But if you do go,
find a shaman, man? Where do you find one?
Man, this is okay. This is what I'll tell you. Either look really well, because you're going to find heaps and heaps of places where you can do ceremonies, but they're in town. They cost shitloads of money, way too much than it should.
It's an underground thing.
I suggest you go on the deep web if you want to find any kind of...
Either that or just you should go there. To be honest, you should go there and you will find a person, you will find the shaman and like they do walk around the towns and things, and they'll take you up into the mountains. You'll trek up quite a while away from everything, not in some sort of touristy location, even though I'm sure a lot of people have good insights, good discoveries. But I think if you really want to get to the core of the
Gotta get off the
experience,
grid.
you
gotta get
go
off the
out.
grid.
You just
what's
separate
interesting-
yourself.
What's interesting is, I guess I don't need to go into the history of it, but there's this Native American guy that I was quartered with, and for about 3.5 months, and after like a month, I started bugging him to take me to his res so I could experience the sweat lodge, and I started talking to him a lot about it. And it first started off with basically that will never happen. Basically, if you're not on the res or really well trusted, you're not going to do it. And well, actually, his first reaction was kind of laughing at me on thinking that I could even handle it, for one. And I mean, granted, this guy is labeled as schizophrenic, but I mean, most Native Americans I've met are, to be honest, and do take medicine for it. And but he was really cool. One of the things, and by the end of it, I almost convinced him to let me, and I did lose touch with him. But I just wanted to say that maybe you should post some links on where to find something like that, because I've always been thinking this whole time, like, this is going to be really hard to actually find a shaman that'd be willing to do this for me, because it's something that I do want to try. Even maybe not even necessarily always an ayahuasca and do, but I would love to maybe sweat out in a lodge until I hallucinate or whatever.
It's a fascinating theory on all of these compounds that are psychoactive, and it's Joe Rogan talks about. It's funny enough, I'm hearing it from Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's hearing it from Terrence McKenna, and that's somebody everybody should hear from. But what the idea is that every one of these compounds, I'm saying compounds because I'm not supposed to talk. But anyways, what the idea is that if you take the older compounds, you're gonna have a much richer experience than these newer compounds that are found in the later years. There's one compound that's called I always forget what it's called. It's a more newer psychoactive thing, and it feels like you're in a warehouse, an empty warehouse that's not really flourishing with any experience in it. You take psilocybin, and it feels like you see African Americans, you see serpent people, you see all these things that are associated with that part of the world that it even grows in. And it's such an interesting idea that if you're taking one of the compounds, you're going to have the same experience as anybody else who took that compound. So
I also have with psychoactives, I think it's a huge deal whether it's a man-made psychoactive or a natural psychoactive.
The thing with DMT is like it's everywhere. You can find DMT all over the world.
Oh, our bodies secrete DMT every night when we sleep. You can find it in grass, trees, everything. The reason when you smoke it, and that's the only method I've used, because the other method's quite hard to do and find, which is the ayahuasca. But that only, like I said, only lasts about 5-10 minutes, while the ayahuasca lasts about 3, 4, 5 hours. But the reason it's orally active is because they're getting a vine with heaps of it in it, heaps of DMT in it, and the other vine which has an enzyme inhibitor in our stomachs that breaks down DMT, so it inhibits that. And but what's crazy is out of the 50,000-60,000 species of plants, and these two plants not even remotely close to each other in the Amazon, how they found these specific two and put them together is quite amazing to get this ayahuasca sort of soup. But what the shamans say is that their ancestors, because we have naturally occurring DMT in our bodies, they would eat the vine, it was a part of their food. They would eat the vine with the enzyme inhibitor, and they would have these naturally occurring DMT experiences because they're inhibiting the breakdown of the molecule in our bodies. And then the plant itself guided them to where they could get the other half and put it together. And that's really, I think that's pretty amazing. That's pretty.
You're probably gonna get a richer experience from that too, because it's coming out of your own body. Like you're dreaming under a state for like 8 hours. And 30 minutes in the dream world is like hours in the dream world. 30 minutes in real waking life feels so much longer. And I don't know. I think you could get a richer experience from your own mind than
I think
seeking it out.
I think anything that's rooted in any kind of ancient tradition, for one, for me, well, not any, I guess you could say, but I'm really fascinated with Egyptian ritual as well as ancient Greece rituals, philosophy. But I think any kind of ritual that's based in not religion, but I guess you could say, I mean, tribe,
Idea.
whatever have you, brings some kind of power. There's a reason it's passed down for thousands of years, and just like anything else of real importance, it's just kind of shunned away.
Have you ever heard of
People are crazy. These people are crazy. We need to get rid of them, even though they've been doing this for 5,000 years. Only, in my mind, just the logical steps to do something like that, to go to somebody that's been doing something for thousands of generations, so that's wrong. It's just crazy.
But that's because they're trying to keep us down. You know what I mean? That all has to do with that. We're not supposed to know that, because then we're unlocking more of ourselves we're already supposed to be doing. So their job is to keep us dumbed down. So
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that there's no facilities there where you can just go and have that experience. And before, like, think about skydiving. You have to take a 6-hour course. I don't even know if it's 6 hours. You have to take a long course just to know how to jump out of a plane. Right? There needs to be facilities where they tell you about the history of them. They tell you about the history of how people had these experiences, and then you do it yourself, and then you can process it yourself with prior knowledge of how people before treated it. And it's unfortunate that we still don't have those places.
I agree.
Yeah, well,
I think hangouts like this is kind of a beginning to
the internet. We're gonna connect. You can find people now that do know. Now that the internet is a thing, you can find people. That's why net neutrality has to be saved, because there's so many things that you're not going to be able to find because of net neutrality being squandered.
The internet's free. The sooner people realize that, the better off we are. We pay for airwaves that go through our bodies and everybody else's body.
Have you guys ever heard of the stoned ape theory?
The what?
No.
You've never heard of the stoned ape theory?
No, I haven't.
Now this is fascinating.
Is that the conscious jump of evolution? Is that what it's relating to?
Exactly. So what it is during evolution there was a jump. All of our organs sort of developed over time. Some of them undeveloped. That's not a word. Some of them aren't as better. Like Neanderthals had huge muscles. They were ready to hunt and stuff, but they weren't all that smart. What happened is that the brain.
I think he's muted.
Yeah, he's muted. We can't hear you, man. Sorry, man. If you can hear us, you just... Yeah, not a word.
Somebody else.
Okay, now you're muted. Well, now you're muted again.
I think somebody's muting me. There's zeros. You're muting me, man. You muted me again. I'm so hurt. My friend.
Please, dude, why are you trying to hurt us? We're just having fun.
Why? Why is there zeros? Anyways, okay, I'm gonna get muted. It's basically when these rainforests receded into grasslands, these monkeys had to explore new food sources, and in these grasslands there was cows, and it's already known. The undisputable fact is that monkeys will flip cow sherds to find bugs to eat, and that's the perfect place for pubescent mushrooms to grow.
Yeah.
So it's undeniable that they explored that as a food source, and during that time, it was the same time that our brain size doubled. It was a span of like 10,000 years. And what it did is it immediately increased our visual acuity. It made us have a more loving nature, and it's definitely like something you really need to look into if you've tried these substances. Joe Rogan, the stoned ape theory, that's like so fascinating.
Yeah, interesting.
Another evolution theory that I was looking into was the aquatic ape theory. This is fascinating. You ever think about how we're the only animal that stands up on hind legs? How we're the only one that stand up on two legs? What they're saying is that if we all started in Africa, and when we migrated out, some people went north, some people went east, some people stayed in Africa, but some people were on sort of the western side of Africa, where I don't know what the countries are. Somewhere near Nigeria, I think. I think that's close to the coast. I'm not the person with geography. They were in the more beach areas, like they were fishing a lot, and what they did was they would go into the water, into the shore, and think about it. If you're a monkey and you're on your fours, if you go into the water, you have to stand up straight, right? You have to stand up straight and keep your head out of the water, or else you drown. And then soon, as we were doing that, we began to walk on our legs, and we gained the muscle down there, and we were able to sort of balance ourselves. Another thing is that we're the only animal that doesn't have fur. The only other animals on this planet that don't have fur are the aquatic ones. We have that same similarity, and here's where this theory goes sort of like into like not, I don't know, kind of like a crazy idea. It's dolphins and whales, killer whales, orcas especially, they all have such a similar anatomy to ours. And it's the idea that sort of the evolutionary path, it kind of drifted off. And what you have is apes, humans, and then it drifts off to all these other aquatic animals that originated from the same people we originated from. And you hear about it in evolution all the time. We all had the same ancestor, and somewhere along the line, the apes aren't our only cousins. The dolphins could be our cousins because their emotional states are similar to ours. They recognize themselves in a mirror. They have names for each other. They play. They exhibit behaviors like mafia gangs. You know, they have like gangs of dolphins versus other gangs of dolphins. They have like hierarchy systems. They're so similar to humans. I think evolution is like the funnest thing to play with in your mind. In my opinion.
Have you read the ancient secret of the flower of life? Have you read that book?
Is that Drunvalo Melchizedek?
Huh?
Is that Drunvalo Melchizedek?
No, it's by what's that guy's name? Oh gosh.
I've definitely heard of it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that is him. Yeah. Which basically says where, like it started all in Atlantis, and then, like basically all of us were made for fuel, and then when everything went bad, it's like, what happened? When everything went bad, it was kind of like all of us, we had this drop in consciousness. Like after everybody died, we didn't know anything, so basically we're fending for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's how we had to start all over again.
Rebuild. I don't know if you guys have seen that Spirit Science movie that kind of like spends an hour talking about those ideas.
Yeah, I've seen that. Well, you know what's interesting about how you're talking about the conscious jumps? I think it also, these conscious jumps apply not only to just the like from apes, eating like the mushrooms, the psilocybin, but also like found in like for example the Egyptian society is like it's illogical to our sort of historical evidence that they just were so they just expanded quite rapidly from an age where they didn't even have writing. They had cave drawings and things. Suddenly they have a language of sounds of numerical. They gave numerical values to their symbols. It's just so complex, and these sort of conscious jumps and occur across time. Across our sort of and the theory is talking about how we are sort of the next conscious jump, that it's happening. Things are happening sort of exponentially. Things, for example, things would happen.
Something to do with that.
I think the internet. I agree.
Definitely.
I gotta ask you guys real quick. When you're saying conscious, I mean, are you guys referring to like intellectual capabilities or like a higher consciousness?
I'm thinking more of,
because in my opinion, it almost seems like we're picking up the pieces from people that were much more higher conscious than we are today. I mean, like he said, if you look at the Egyptians or any ancient culture, they're 10 times more spiritual than we are today. And so it's almost kind of an oxymoron in my my head, as much as I like the theory that we're jumping waves from consciousness to higher consciousness, I think what's happening more is evolution is evolving our brain, right? We evolved into having emotions for God knows what reason, or whatever have you. But the same way we evolved. I have also a quick tidbit. There's a bunch of things I wanted to put in, but just one real interesting tidbit on evolution that you're talking about with the monkeys. So one of my favorite things I've read about evolution and why we have families today, and it's because so one of the theories is that you know as apes we carried our young on our back, and just like most other mammals would pick our young out to grow up and be a grown ape on their own, as to where when we started walking on 2 feet we began to have to carry our children in our arms, which has created this sense of attachment to our young.
Wow.
And this is why we create families to this day. This is the theory and why
Also,
we
we're
are
the only animal that when we mate we face each other. When we do that, that's a bond. That's a bond making right there. That when we mate we face each other face to face. That's
right. Instead of carrying it on your back, you had to carry it in your arms every day. So a monkey could just throw their young on their back and do everything they would do in their normal routine. Whereas once we became a human, um, for lack of the exact scientific name, Neanderthal, whatever you want to call it, we had to start putting our putting our hobbies or our duties down to carry a baby. So suddenly life begins to revolve around your young in a lot more long-term fashion. And it's just a quick tidbit I wanted to throw in when you're talking about monkeys and evolution. And you guys like to know a lot of scientific facts. A great new show out that I've been loving lately is that Cosmos show.
yeah. I've been hearing a lot of great things. Neil deGrasse Tyson, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also created by Seth MacFarlane, which is the creator of Family Guy, but he's
Really? What is?
his own
That's
rights.
interesting.
Yes, he's a genius. So his own rights.
He talks about a lot of taboo topics. I can see him doing that. Like,
You should read and watch some of his off Family Guy related spurts. The guy's actually really intelligent, but the show is
absolutely.
amazing.
You know when they
The
talk
show
about
is
those
absolutely
episodes
amazing.
where like Brian is talking about atheism and how like I don't know. I think it's all really interesting what he does with taboo topics. You can tell that he's an intelligent dude. He wants to
Yeah.
talk about like things that matter.
Right, exactly, and he's able to hit it from so many different viewpoints. Even just being himself.
I love
Yeah,
people like that. He's
That
like a great
Cosmos
troll.
show. Actually, I think it was 2 episodes ago on Cosmos, and it was talking about some of the big extinction.
Hey, can you guys hear me at all by any chance?
Yeah, man. Hey.
Okay, cool. So, hey, sorry about muting you earlier. I was listening. I was just trying to figure this whole thing out.
Hey man, it's cool.
All right.
It's cool.
So, oh goodness. Oh yeah, so they had an episode just the other day, and it was touching on mass extinction. And from what I got from the episode, is it's already been scientifically, it's practically scientific fact. They have the exact rat or kind of field mouse that burrowed into underground during the last mass extinction, and this is what we are evolved from. This is what monkeys are evolved from. Is this one field rat? This is why we do all of our testing on field mice, because they share over 90% of our DNA. So it's not just monkeys that we evolved from. The monkeys evolved from something else, and it all evolved from bacteria, from what I've read.
A tadpole that figured out how to grow legs and just sort of walked out of the water. If there's any moment I'd time travel to, it could be anything. People talk about all these different things they try and travel to. I want to see the thing that climbed out of the water and just started to look around and be like, now this is a new area that I want to explore. That's
well, have you heard about that type of, it's a type of frog, I think, that actually, depending on whether it usually lives in like large lakes, but depending on whether the lake is dry or not, it actually undergoes metamorphosis and to either being similar to a tadpole fish thing or a lizard, depending, like a sort of similar to a lizard, depending on the environment, and then it will give, when it lays eggs, the offspring, yeah, like are just sort of are born accordingly as well, which is so it changes their whole physical makeup. There's just really, yeah, I don't know, it's quite interesting.
I think some of the more evolved species in the ocean are absolutely fascinating. If you ever watch any deep ocean species on how they live, maybe on like National Geographic Channel or something, it's absolutely.
Oh yeah, my biology teacher was showing me a lot of documentaries on Friday, and I was just being blown away by these creatures that like. It's just so fascinating. We haven't even discovered all the things that are deep in the ocean. We don't know what's down there even. Still to this day, there's so much more to explore.
Oh yeah, we have not discovered anything in our oceans, like, but what is it, like 10% we've discovered? Like 90% is still just undiscovered.
Yeah, there's still a lot left down there.
Hey, James Cameron, man. James Cameron did the unthinkable. I don't know if you guys said that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was thinking James Cameron. He went underwater.
Oh, I was gonna say, did you guys catch that documentary where it was on mermaids? Didn't you guys catch that?
I saw a video. I actually
finding recently. Is that what you're talking about?
Huh?
The ones that they were supposedly spotting recently. Is that what
yeah, they had. Yeah, like.
Is that that video of like the dude who looks like the guy from Hellboy? And there's a picture of these guys in a submarine, or a video of these guys in a submarine, and you just see like a hand hit the glass, and it has like fins in the hand. Is that what that is? And
yeah.
You catch a glimpse of the face.
Yeah.
And it looks exactly like the dude from Hellboy. I don't know if you guys seen that movie. If you search this right now, open a tab, Hellboy aquatic. Oh man, that character is great. Basically, apparently there's these creatures that are humanoid, and it could go back to that aquatic ape theory thing where there could have just been another species that are just like us in consciousness, but just evolved in another way, from dolphins into anything.
Sure.
Well,
yeah, like what I would.
You guys seen that Chinese boy? Who's just born. You know, he's a few years old. He's born a few years back, but he can see in the dark.
Yeah, I saw that.
He has cat eyes.
Cat eyes.
And the girl with the X-ray eyes.
That's not evolution. If that's not evolution in front of your eyes, then I don't know what. You know. But at the same time,
you said you
when I was in grade school, we were taught that evolution was wrong. And
really?
It wasn't true. Yeah, I'm only 26 years old, but when I was in grade school, evolution was a theory, very much so, and not allowed to be talked about as opposed to now it's a lot more. They're still teaching in school, oh, we are Christianity or whatever your religion is in the area or whatever, preach. But by the way, science is proving evolution is real here, and there. When I was a kid, it was like our teachers would get in trouble if they. I remember my science teacher was scared to talk about evolution one time to our class in 7th grade.
Teachers used to get fired for talking about it, like early 60s. They could get fired.
Like talking the word consciousness was considered taboo in like sort of science until recently, you know. People who talked about consciousness, it was like, wait, don't go there, you know, stay out of that, you know.
Well,
it goes both ways. It's not just the religious side of it. I mean, like for me, I just wanted to throw something out there real quick. Is that if you look at what we're doing right now, it's like the big theme right here in this moment is communication. Like I don't know where you guys are. I don't know if you guys can figure out where. Maybe you can, but like that's what for me. That's like a big part of what this thing has kind of turned into. Is that I'm starting to realize that we can communicate with a lot more than just each other. You know, there's this hubris that we're coming from where we think we're the only like conscious like beings on the planet, and we're really starting to realize that we're really wrong about that. You know, that's what they're like for instance, like a bunch of you've done ayahuasca, right?
I've done DMT, not ayahuasca.
All right, you've done DMT. Okay, cool. But like, I don't know. Like everyone sees what's going on. It's like this crazy flood of like the culture's changing, like slowly but surely. You know, it started with McKenna, like you were talking about earlier, but we're starting to see this thing happen where the culture's changing. And these things are coming back to our periphery, and it's like we're like, oh wait, they're sentient. You know, like I don't know. For me, I just wanted to. The last thing I want to say, like for me, like McKenna was always talking about aliens and how they're already here, and you know, you think like, oh, what, like I don't know. For me, it was always weird. didn't fully understand. And I really realized, like, yeah, like, they're finally actually, like, talking to us. They're finally, like, we finally evolved to a point where we have where we have the metaphor to understand that they've actually been guiding our evolution.
Context.
Right. And it's more
I have a
dire
question
now.
about I have a question about the word sentient and basically kind of how you define that. I mean, so basically, basically, how would you define a sentient
Aware
being?
of oneself, aware of one's needs and desires.
I think it's.
So are you able to have that without emotional capabilities?
Well, you know, that's the weird thing. I've been thinking about that lately.
Yeah.
And for instance, like if you take a look at mycelium, right? Like if you like when you look at them, you know, like you see them, they grow in poop, they're in the ground, but they have this very they have a pattern. You know, I myceliate outwards, and it's very efficient for getting nutrients around. You know, and humans actually have a tendency to do something similar, but because of like our emotions and because of the way that we can think and we can progress the game and turn everything into a game, you know, we start wanting more than we need, and then we get these huge pockets. But like in the idealized human society, we'd actually be very similar to mycelium because everything would be where it needs to be for the maximum benefit of everyone. You know, and in a way that sounds really cold and calculated, like, oh well, we just have to, everything has to be where it needs to be. But ultimately, like the mycelium, because they understand that their place in nature it works out the best if they cooperate, and they're trying to make sure everything has what it needs, so it's all beautiful and all food everywhere. You know, they have.
They realize the benefit for the greater whole is more important. Is that what you're saying?
I think what
we're
he's trying
going
to say.
Start, and we're going to think.
You're cutting out, actually.
Oh no, zeros.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
It's fascinating idea.
I think he's trying to say that there's multiple realities coexisting, like, you know, the whole Mario Luigi thing, Mushroom Kingdom and stuff, you know, all these things are actually happening, you know. Oh yeah! Don't take the purple mushroom, dude.
With the parallel universe is one of my favorite takes on parallel universes or the multiverse. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I've heard good things.
Or read the book, but it's a huge book, so I didn't read it, but I've watched the movie. It's a great film, but I love. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a button on a spaceship that basically sends it into a hyperdrive, and every time they come into where they're traveling to, they're in a parallel universe, so they'll come back as sofas, you know, after they teleport, and they're talking to each other as sofas, and then all of a sudden a normalization happens on the spaceship, and they're back to being human. I just think that's such a great way to put it.
Oh, the apple's core, bro. You know, like the whole idea, like the whole vortex, right? That's what it is. That's what it is, bro.
Alright, guys, I've had a great time talking to all y'all tonight. I'm gonna take off now. I'm definitely gonna drop in here next Sunday, so if any of y'all
Is that the schedule? Is that the
Alright,
schedule?
see you later.
Cool, man. See
Alright,
ya.
it's nice meeting all you guys.
Alright, nice to meet you too.
See you,
Have
bro.
a good one.
What's you guys?
What's up, Ash?
Nothing.
Do you guys all know each other from previous chats?
Yeah, this is my first time, actually.
I joined a little while ago, but that was when there was some restrictions on the chat, and like some people couldn't talk. So I kind of just sat through a chat one time. This is the first time I've been able to be a part of it.
That's cool.
Good.
It's been fun.
You guys are the X Factor.
It's the voice.
Welcome to the team.
That's funny. Oh man.
You're my heroes, bros and sis.
I have a feeling Skull is just gonna wake up. Skull's gonna wake up and he's gonna be drooling on his keyboard.
Yeah, he's been asleep since forever. I'm pretty sure.
Ash, I saw some of your videos. Why don't you spit some some rhymes for us to motivate? Like, I don't know, something inspirational.
I would give you a beat, but the
Drop it.
lag might not do it justice if I try to give you a beat.
Just do it like a quick 60 seconds. I don't know. Like I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Get us like motivated.
I'm not.
Do
I
it, do
don't.
it.
You're not getting nervous, right?
Do you want me
You're
to
not
get it
getting nervous.
started? I'll
There you
get
go.
it started.
Yeah. Get it started.
Alright. I'll bust out with my
Oh, you
my
getting
lo-fi, my low-tech
Getting
stuff.
up.
Okay, here you go. Alright. This is what I normally do for the Paradigm Shift group, so I'm just gonna. Okay. Wake up, everyone. How can you sleep at a time like this unless the dreamer is the real you? Listen to your voice, the one that tells you to taste past the tip of your tongue. Leap in the net will appear. Yep, that's all I got. Yeah.
4 letters, 1 syllable, deep, man.
Nah, man, I'm just messing around, bro.
No, but like even
Go for it.
yeah, I've been trying. Like I really want to I'm so I'm so ready for I want to be to a position where a lot of people know what I'm trying to do, because the music right now is so horrible. It's a whole bunch of crap, and the kids
come left field and still entertain people.
Yeah, and not saying a lot of conscious rap is not saying it's too conscious, but it's not entertaining, if you get what I'm saying, because it's doused with so many words, and it's like, okay, all right.
It doesn't know what it wants to be.
Right, instead of
it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't have its own sort of I don't know, tone, I guess you could say. It doesn't know what lesson it's trying to teach you.
Right. And a lot, with a lot of people, you have to give them little doses of stuff. You can't just overwhelm them, because then people get scared and they're like, oh my gosh, no, and they don't want to deal with that. You got to kind of baby feed people, you know what I mean, in a little subtle way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
You gotta introduce, give them a nipple. If they want more, they'll buy the whole thing themselves. Oh,
do you post often, musical stuff online?
I hadn't did one in probably 2 months since I had way back to where I'm at now. But I'm gonna try to do it, start doing them at least once a week, And
it's kind of thing. It's like people like this need to be protected with net neutrality. It's like if net neutrality goes under, then you're never gonna be seen. It's just so not fair. Everyone is on the same playing field right now, and if they squander that, high corporations, and I know I'm gonna saying the high corporations, you gotta worry about them. It's they're gonna be able to police what you see and what they don't want you to see. It's just they're so fair right now. It's gotta stay how it is. It really makes me angry. Now,
Ash. Ash, I summon you. I call you.
I call on you.
Gotta catch them all.
Musical revolution.
For real, honestly, yeah, that's the plan. That is the plan. I've been trying to just get build a team, and people that are see what I'm trying to do, and you want to join. You know what I mean? I want to bring everybody along. I just want everyone to just fully pursue what they want to do, and don't kind of just half butt do it.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we?
I can't. Oh, God.
So I've been
11:22. I think.
Oh wow!
No,
we're
oh God! It's
the same time zone.
It's 1:23 my time.
2:22 p.m. here.
11:22 p.m.
Whoa!
That is not a coincidence. There are no coincidences. That means something right there.
Right.
Do you guys hear about those associations with certain time frames? You're spending the whole day, you're not looking at the clock, and then sometimes you look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's
all day.
There's certain associations with different times. for lessons that you need to learn. And I forgot all of them. I
Yeah,
saw
well,
like a blog online and people were talking about like 1111 means this and this. Like you need to discover this and this, and like 1 2 3 4 is what 2 2 2 means
that.
this.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
well,
you
I
know
say
that stuff.
that's all day long. When I mean all day long, to the point where it's like every time I look at the clock, if it's not every hour, 22, 33, it's just all day long. But that's like those are what if they say angels or ascended masters trying to get you to actually see what you're doing, and it's something that you're supposed to fix, or a message that's telling you something about to happen, good or bad, and
I
you
think
do that. Then,
Rex just saw 1122, and that's similar to like a double. That's a double double right there.
all right.
That's a double double.
I think 22 pertains to what, like, basically don't give up 5 minutes before you reach where you
Guys,
reach.
Rex? What's gonna happen 5 minutes from now? What are you planning? Don't give up, man.
Me?
Yeah,
I
you were the
wasn't
one
gonna
who
give
saw
up.
it. You were the one
I
who saw
wasn't
it.
gonna give up.
Dude, we're gonna be like detectives here. You saw it, 11:22. What were you thinking when you saw it?
What
were
was
you
I
planning?
thinking? I was thinking we had like right when she oh hey what was I thinking? I don't think, dude. I feel, man.
Ooh,
I told you, Bruce
Good
Lee, right? I
answer.
feel.
Good answer.
nice.
I'm gonna use that. What were you thinking? I don't think. I feel.
Yeah.
That's great.
Horny, sleepy, aroused, entertained, bored. I don't know, whatever, dude. Ash, you feel me? You feel me?
Yes,
I
I
think you
do.
all feel me.
So do you guys partake in the lucid dreaming?
You said what?
What's that?
Yes.
Do you guys partake in the lucid dreaming experience?
Yeah, dude. Oh, dude. Hey, can I mention something too? When you were talking about Spider-Man, that's funny because I totally sync with him. And the funny thing is, when you talked about that, I wanted to bring back because like I don't know if you know, but Skull is into like parkour and stuff, free running.
Oh yeah, he talks
And
about it a lot. Yeah.
oh yeah. And I was just out. The
When
reason
he talks about that, it resonates with me. Yeah. Go on.
like I had when you're talking about the inertia feeling, like the sensation of moving, everything, like I had like a 5 6 months where I
Unfortunately, you're cutting out.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, man. You've gone all alien. You've all
You're like talking like a Doctor Who character.
Yeah, I can't hear anything either.
Say that again. I wanted to hear what you were talking about.
Okay, so this is what I was trying to say. I was trying to say that I don't know if you believe in fairies and stuff and things
Oh my
like
God, I do.
things
Go
like
ahead.
Fairies, man. You don't get me started on fairies, bro.
Oh man, dude. Anyway, there's these two Asian fairies, right? And they can shit Asian fairies,
Okay.
like Asian, like yeah, and they're a human size. And basically they guided me and they showed me how to like wall run, but vertically and horizontally. Like wall running, but in the dream it's like you have this trail, like a light trail, and I wall run like up 100 feet, and then sideways I wall run the way you do in Georgia, like 500 feet, and then they showed me how to do it, and I was like, dude, you could actually wall run now. And I was like, whoa.
That's cool.
Just described. I've done
cool.
the exact same types of things.
I know, right?
It's like there's one instance where think about, just try to picture this in your head. Say you're Spider-Man. You're swinging on that web. What happens is before I let go into the air to swing another swing and shoot out another web, what I'll do is I'll spin around in a circle and I'll kind of do a loop above me and I'll kind of go up around and I'll go faster in that loop, and all of a sudden I open my eyes, and you can do that. You can close your eyes in a lucid dream, which is the weirdest thing in the world. I'll open my eyes and I'll be in a completely different place, and it's like I just like traveled to another area in a dimension just by spinning around a bunch of times in the air. And
Oh, that's cool.
all of these weird things, and like when you guys are talking about astral projection, I can't put my finger on it. I've been to places where I've been in a dream, and I don't know if I'm astral projecting to those places, or if I'm just like sort of accessing my memory or my perception of it. Because we have dreams, we have we want these things in our lives. Like if you want to be a stand-up comedian, or if you want to be a musician, or if you want to be a politician, if you're lucid dreaming, you can have those experiences. But what you'll find is that your perception of it, what you wanted from it, wasn't as all cracked out as it was to be. You find out what you're living for when you do lucid dream. Like I'll do something that I've always wanted to do and I'll live it, but now I know I got a taste of it and I can go out into the world and sort of work for what I experience. And
You guys know the Matrix, right? Like the Matrix.
Yeah, sort of like that.
When you when what it is you're hacking into it and you're like download the program and you're like, okay, I want to learn how to helicopter. You want to learn how to shoot. You want to learn how to do gymnastics or kung fu. That's what it is. Like that's why this reality. Like I'm not even interested in anything in terms of like material success. I don't give a f. Like I'm hacking the system all the time and I'm altering it. Like that's what I'm doing. I don't care about life. Don't care about work. Don't care about money. Don't care about anything. I'll get by, dude.
That's how I think like even in the movie where they got like you say like you download how to fly a helicopter, but like sometimes I'm like when we actually get to the point where it's instantaneous, you know what I mean? Like when we want to know something, I try like you're bringing in all this knowledge, whatever, and you imagine this coming into your head, kind of like that. Like I just can't wait till it gets to that point.
Hey, I got a theory. I got a theory on that. You guys might like to hear.
My knowledge.
Indulge us.
As what you said,
go for it.
Talking about hacking reality. All right, you know how the internet, like if you're like the internet's like a ton of information. It's images, it's sound bites, it's text. Like if you were to like three-dimensionally represent it, what do you get?
What is that?
Do you know what it looks like? It looks like the same.
It just looks
pattern.
like a web, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks.
It's a world wide web. That's exactly what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you see? What do you see? Where else do you see that pattern? You see that in brains, right?
You see it in the universe.
Yeah, in brains.
You see that in brains. You also see it in the universe, right? You see that web, right?
Dark matter is connected all across the universe.
It's a recurring fractal that keeps appearing, right?
Like fractals, yeah, that's right.
Because like this fractal is now like appearing on the planet, and it's like, but it's a very important fractal because it's allowing us to have all this like instant communication. So this fractal obviously has some sort of like information encoded in it too, because, or not even just encoded in it. Apparently this fractal probably has something to do with information getting spread around, right?
All right.
At least, so that's the conclusion I'm drawing, because I keep seeing it, and I keep seeing stars, and stars, what they do is they beam light at these planets, and, like things like plants basically capture this light and turn it into three-dimensional, like, physicality, it turns sunlight's nourishment, but it also nourishes us, like, we're basically, like, everything here is just light. Everything alive is just light. We're just eating light constantly.
Yeah. Well, but when we sorry, continue.
I'm sorry. It's just that. Keep in mind, this is just a theory. This is just my imagination. But this is also coming from a person who's actually done a bunch of work and has really been trying to hack for quite a while now.
Don't forget, saliva is also important. Like saliva, water. With sunlight, you have to unmat like water too, because like the elements. Just Avatar, the last Airbender. Yes. Exactly. Yes.
All right.
All the
So
elements.
stay with me for a few more seconds. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I know you. I'm sorry. What was your name? I muted you earlier by accident.
Victor. My name is Victor.
Talked about Terrence McKenna, right?
Yeah.
Now he had a lot of theories, and he was a really interesting guy. And I just I love him so much, and I just want to take like a moment just to say like personally, like I consider him almost like a mentor.
Absolutely, I know what you mean. His philosophical ideas are brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. If you can't sit and like listen to one of his talks in front of like he used to do conferences where he talked about all these ideas of consciousness, about evolution, and like if you can't sit through one of those people, if you can't sit through one of those ideas, like I just don't know what kind of person you have to be curious about this kind of thing. Like it's I can't understand how nobody's curious about the things that Terence McKenna says. You know what? You like Terence McKenna, right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You like Terence McKenna.
I do.
You have to search this guy named Alan Watts.
Okay.
Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, I've listened to a bunch of his stuff. Not as much as I would have liked to, but
he kind of comes from.
To.
Terence McKenna kind of talks about more the scientific biology aspect of it, and sort of the idea of maybe like aliens coming down and helping us with our evolution and giving us that psilocybin that boosted us in the Stone Age theory. Alan Watts is more of like the consciousness side of it. He talks more about dreaming and the idea that if you could dream 70 years of time in a single night, every night, you would. That's my favorite one.
Somebody I know. You know who Nathaniel Solis is, right?
Nathaniel.
Okay, well, he was saying one time that he lived his whole life from a baby to his age that he was that year in a dream. You know what I mean? He was like, and the parents knew, like before he woke up, they was like, oh, I know you have to go, and then he left, and then, and he woke up, but in that dream, he lived a whole lifetime, basically, up to his current age, which I thought was pretty cool.
Something interesting about dreams is that when you're thrown into a dream, and I lucid dream, but I don't always lucid dream. Sometimes I'll see myself in a dream, and I'll think it's life. But what happens is with dreams is that, right now, think about you're awake right now. You just had your entire day. It's a late night. In the back of your mind, you're thinking about your whole day that you just had. And it's part of your timeline, your linear timeline, which may not exist, by the way. Linear timeline may not even exist. But what it is that when you're thrown into a dream, you're given a new set of timelines behind the present moment that you're thrown into in that dream. So whatever moment you're in that dream, you're given a new set of memories, new set of motivations in that dream, as if you just had experienced those things. Like you just. I know people who feel like they had just failed a test in their dream and they felt anxiety about it, but they didn't actually dream about bombing that test. Or, all these things. Like, it's interesting to see how our brain kind of fills in gaps in a dream and puts you in a new scenario. It's really fascinating. I think more people should discuss the dreaming equation and reality. Like, what does it say if I feel more emotion, if I feel so much more ecstasy and like satisfaction from my dreams than I do from waking life? Is that reality more real than this one, or is that reality there to help me motivate and want things in the waking life?
I think it's there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. That was my rant.
I was just gonna say, like, with you talking about like how like more of these topics about dreaming consciousness are sort of rising up and like sort of coming into the spotlight. It seems like I see a lot on like TV and like more mainstream sources of like media. I see them talking about and so confident about like, oh yeah, in 40 years or in 50 years we'll be able to put consciousness into a machine. Like we'll be able to put it into a robot. Like we haven't even begun to understand. Like we've only sort of newly just jumped into this area of awareness and things, but already we're trying to like describe how we're going to try and manipulate it into I don't know. Do you know? I just think that.
But it's still part of our consciousness, so it's still us. That's the thing. It will happen because that's us. We're projecting that on that. So even like a computer, predictive text, all that. It's because that's still part of us.
Do you think that's what we're here to do? Are we here to become immortal? Are we here to use the skills of engineering to become immortal? I mean, we are immortal already, of course. Like our consciousness is, but the physical aspect of it, I feel like it has to end. You can't. Your physical body, I think it has to end at some point, so you can go into the new experience.
Like that's why
changing. It's always changing.
That's why there's seasons, bro. That's why there's seasons. Like you don't have spring the whole season year round. It would. That's where life and death happens. Like God, or if you don't believe in God, I'll just say the cosmos. Like even the stars have to die. Even the sun has to die.
Winter is coming, man. Winter is coming.
Yeah.
Nobody watched
The Winter
Game of-
Soldier. The
Oh, that was
Winter
good.
Soldier. Yeah. Hell yeah, bitch. Pardon my language.
Pardon moi?
Pardon moi.
What were we talking
Did you guys
about?
watch Captain America? Because
Dude.
funny thing that you're talking about, because like the whole idea of surveillance and how I don't want to spoil it, but anyone who's watched that movie,
I've seen it.
basically if you've seen it, I'll just touch upon the idea, like the whole, like, their macro everything, like everything's all like digital. Everyone's like they're able to track us and like predict what you're gonna do. Like they can predict who is gonna become a superhero and things like that.
What
You
it
know what I mean?
is you'd never expect a Disney movie to just come left field with a Captain America movie that talks about NSA spying. Like what it is that the NSA can look at your messages and scrutinize you for things you've said months before and scrutinize you for it. That's what Captain America brought up, and it was brilliant. It was brilliantly done because what it does is that one of the lines in the movie that one of the villains says is that the Hydra
Cut one head, two
equation.
will replace it.
Yeah, it'll look at your past. It'll use an equation to look at your past to see if you are a person that will fight against and be a rebel against Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what they were talking about with the NSA spying. I thought it was just so brilliantly done. It was a great political thriller in that aspect. I think that's just a good topic to talk about.
But to tie it back into reality, like I was reading on before it's news, like I don't know, but I was reading one of their articles, like apparently the government getting prepared and training like the police officers to prepare for like insurgents because all the troops that are coming back. Yeah, exactly, because all coming back soon, and then they're like, oh shit, the Patriots are gonna rise up, and we are. Like
Dude,
we are.
Patriots, man. When people come back from war, they realize the malarkey that's talked
Yeah, I
about
love that.
here. They spend time over there and they really know what's going on. They come back here, they look at what the media is talking about. They're like, "Are you kidding me? You're telling them you're not even telling them about the opium fields that are being guarded by the U.S. military, so the ambassador of Afghanistan can sell the opium. Like you're not telling them about all of these things that are being kept secret. And now the Patriots, they've experienced enough hard shit that they're gonna get angry, and they should. They should. They worked so hard for nothing.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. Within chaos reigns.
People in this chat kind of avoid talking about the negative aspects so far. Like I've noticed all night, people have kind of been avoiding having negative experiences. I mean, a little bit, only a little bit. I know some people here probably get the idea of the yin yang. The yin yang is the idea that there's a little bit of bad, and there's a little bit of good in both sides. And I just love. I've kind of resonated with that idea completely, and I kind of did something courageous a few months back where I just meditated and I sort of basically asked for bad experiences because it's sort of like you learn from them. And
it was a soul faster, bro.
Exactly, and then for a little while I completely stopped following spirit sciencey stuff, and I realized, and I was getting really angry for like a little while, and like feeling really down in the dumps. And then I realized, wait a second, didn't I just bring this upon myself? And I came back 180, and I just past week and a half, I've been things have gotten so much better. It's pretty wild.
It's like all that spirit science stuff that you're talking about. It's like having too much frosting, too much of a good thing. It's like I gotta have you can't just have too much fruit or too much whatever. You gotta live a balanced life and figure out what that means for you individually. Because only your body's your. I'm not gonna tell you what to put in your whatever you want to put in your body. That's your choice. You're gonna have to live with the consequences. You know.
What happens is that you end up in a cycle. And you're not reverberating back to infinity and having a balance of both sides of that cycle. What's happening is you end up in a circle, and you're not letting yourself leave that circle and come back around from another experience. You're not bouncing back and balancing whatever experience you have. If you spend up too much time with your ego, then your emotional side isn't going to be as balanced. You got to bounce back from either side to the other.
Right. It's all the whole thing about duality, and you have to find that balance. We have to learn how to integrate all the, the good and the bad, or whatever, which is not nor good nor bad. Just have to find a balance.
Love is just a game of hide.
How much have you read from Drenville Melchizedek?
Yeah, I haven't read. I don't know. Go. You just go ahead. You go.
I think
I'm
Ash
just
did.
gonna listen.
You said what?
How much have you read from Drunvalo Melchizedek?
Oh no. Oh, you talking about books wise? No, just that one.
Just the Secret Flower.
The secret, the flower.
I read The Sacred Space of the Heart, and that's the only one I read from him. And it's just I think somebody in the chat was talking about psychic Chinese children, and just there's a whole chapter about psychic Chinese children, like these kids that you can blindfold them, and you hand them a photo that you took in your living room, thousands of miles away. They can describe the person who took the photo. They can describe where the photo was. They can describe everything about the photo, and all of this stuff with sacred Chinese psychics. Like Drunvalo Melchizedek is like fascinating, dude. He talks about the Merkaba meditation and how you it's basically like the ultimate state you can put yourself in. You visualize 3D triangles that spin on top of each other, and sort of one is upside down and one is right side up, but they're both within each other, and you just imagine them spinning in opposite directions. And you sort of just do a breathing technique, and you've got to imagine that you are an ultimate force, but not in like an egocentric kind of way, just sort of that you can do anything. You got to embrace it.
You can even use that, that's a teleportation device too. You know what I mean? That's how when some people say when you get to that point, even if you can take your body with you if you're to go to whatever place. Instead of you just taking your consciousness, if you die, you can get it to the point where you can actually take your physical body too. Like wasn't it is it Thoth? Kind of like how he did, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Sorry, what'd you say? Like a
It's Thoth, right? Is
Thoth?
that Thoth? The one that...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of got to the point where he took his physical body and...
What happened with that guy? What happened with old Thoth? Where'd he end up?
You said what?
Still here, bro.
Ascended master?
He's still here, bro.
I don't know, sorry.
I thought so. Whenever you think, you're thinking. I'm sorry, I'm very good at cheesy puns. So.
How many times do you think the resurrected man story, and
you mean
just the idea
Jesus,
of
Osiris, all of them, Nazareth,
all of it.
Lazarus,
Krishna, I'm pretty sure Krishna died and came back.
Oh, dude. It's just like when you say remember, like you heard that song, right? Say
Oh yeah.
Like Jehovah, Krishna, Buddha. It's all about the dude. Aloha.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
Oh the
open wide. Holla.
That's great. Hey, what are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts on Mary Jane?
The marrow. You mean the plant or the herb?
No, I mean like Mary Jane from the comics. Yes, I mean the plant.
Well, I had got to the point. I remember I was in my room one day, and I was smoking, and as your vibrations change, your frequency, you can hear more, you know what I mean? And so I was smoking. Everything got so loud that I went outside. I had to look up to make sure the world wasn't ending. Like everything got real loud, and so for a while, every time I smoked, everything felt like all my chakras were so open that like if you were standing behind an airplane, and I couldn't deal with it. It was so bad.
My thoughts.
I can't do the Mary Jane.
You can't do it.
I would trip the fuck out.
I think it makes people incapable after a while.
It makes them what?
Incapable.
Hungry.
I'm basically calling people lazy.
Okay.
But I also am a hypocrite.
It doesn't. It only makes you lazy if that's the culture that you're in. Like if you smoke and then you get up and go do things, like it'll help you learn faster.
No, you're right about that. Absolutely.
But everything's
You just have to be motivated to do it.
It's more of a, that you're supposed to do that. If you think about it, everything's sacred. That's really a sacred plant, and that
Exactly.
it should be
Yeah.
followed in a ritual. You know what I mean, or a ceremony. Like you're doing it to connect to
You're not
God.
doing it
It
to
shouldn't
party
be so
hard.
done like unconsciously, and that's what the world is doing. It's kind of like you're just doing it, but you're not really doing it with a purpose and the right intention.
Yeah, let me just pose a scenario real quick. Like, imagine if, like, when we taught our children, like, we taught them how to do something, and then we taught them how to do it again while they were stoned. And then we taught them how, like, if we just kept teaching them to do the same thing, but then we would, like, teach them to do it while their consciousness is altered. You know, we would create hyper intelligent people by doing this kind of stuff. You know, that's what these things are for.
That's brilliant.
Well, I think that's like sort of just like being able to look at things through different perspectives. And I think that's one of the problems. Like I think one of us were mentioning before that a lot of these shamans and things in South America, they're usually labeled as schizophrenic. And like I just think that like especially when it comes to diagnosing mental conditions, I believe that we're the ones that sort of cause them. You know what they used to do in these sort of tribes and these sort of like is that when they'd see kids that had these traits of like schizophrenia now that we call them, they'd take them and they'd tell them, hey, you're gonna heal people, you're gonna help people, you're gonna do this, I'm gonna, what do we do now? We take them from a young age and we're like, you're sick, you're different, I'm gonna try change you into something else, I'm gonna try make you fit in with everybody else because
we're programming each other. That's the thing that's happening. Like that's what we didn't realize, and that's when I say that. Like evolutionarily, the reason why a lot of this stuff is happening, it's happening for a lot of different reasons, like astrologically, like just like economically, a lot of reasons. But if you look at our language, like right now, everything that's evolved about us is not just our physical selves, our spiritual selves, our emotional selves, but our linguistical selves. And that's one of the most powerful things a human can do is open its mouth and make a noise, because it gets other humans who are also intelligent and smart and have thumbs and have hands to do things. It's this whole we are one concept, but we're also starting to realize it at the same time as we're actually experiencing being part of it. So a lot of it is like really just like hunkering down and just really starting to learn that yes, we program each other. Culture doesn't drive us. We design our culture. We start programming everything. We start programming intent into our life.
Not be killed.
Change the world.
When you were just talking about how how we do in like talking about like labeling people with schizophrenia or stuff, I was actually reading this article, and this guy, he's from some tribe in Africa, and he was saying when people start to show these signs, it means like something's supposed to come through on the spiritual plane. And so what they do is they go and they fix this, and then they're back to normal. And so they actually took this guy, had a severe case of, it might have been schizophrenia. They brought him to the tribe, and after a couple of months, like he was evening out. And so when he did get fined, he stayed there for like 3 years extra, because he was like, I like how this is going. Instead of us, like you said, we're so quick to label stuff instead of try to really look at it on a spiritual level. And he was saying like when he went to one of the hospitals, psychiatric hospitals, he said he sees all these demons were basically just all on these people and feeding their mind. You know what I mean? And that was the main problem. But we're so this is what's wrong. This is what's wrong. Instead of actually really looking and trying to fix it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it, and I've heard that a lot of these people with either like mental issues, even all of us with our like past experiences, things that we've even forgotten that might have been traumatizing. I've seen like drug addictions, things like that, and people going to like these places and doing these things like ayahuasca and things, and just it literally taking like ayahuasca is like, and explained by a lot of other people as well, it's not going to give you what you want. It's not going to give you a pretty light show, because that's not all. It's going to get you what you need. Like I've heard about people talking about like some guy who was talking about his his fear of death. I mean that's one of the biggest fears among people, is they're just so scared of this thing they know so little about. But what apparently happened to him and his experience was that he was dying over and over again, bugs exploding in his skin, vomiting out snakes. He just kept dying and dying until these voices, until these things, they just kept telling him, accept it, let it go, let it be. You have to let, you can't put these barriers down for you. You need to sort of break through them. You need to leave them in the past, leave them, like, you know what I mean? It's just, and it's just really, and all of these, these people coming out of the experience, being cured of these issues that they used to have, these illnesses. That's why they call it like the,
Have you seen? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
People always look at the surface level of things. They never spend time to really assess their feelings on it. They just think. Most people would think of this after experiencing that. They never really look at their own emotions and their own first impressions. They kind of just go with the flow of everybody else. I think it's
role play, bro. This is all role play. Look. You guys, we're in a game. It's life. It's a simulation. Whatever.
All day, right?
Are you a mage in this MMO, Rex? Are you a mage or are you a warrior?
They call me. Well, I am a shamanic warrior because, like I told you, I have the Bruce Lee energy. Like he's Hercules right here. Like if you don't know, like I'll freaking show you right there. He's hiding over here somewhere. If you can see him. He's hiding over there, watching over me. Hercules.
My Rex. Hey Rex.
What's up? I'm Aang.
No, I was just gonna ask. Do you? Is there any medicine that you work with on a regular basis?
I use. Hi. You guys want to know what I do? I'll tell you what I do. This is what I do. I use sunlight energy, captured light, and I use this technique. My into it's basically it's like you guys. You think I'm making up that? You can just look at my. I'll freaking just look at my. Go onto my Instagram. Go onto my Facebook, and I'll show you. I use.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Has your experience with sunlight changed since the eclipse this year?
I don't know. Look, I don't I'll just tell you something. I don't function in time linear. So whatever is going on, I'm eternal. So I literally exist out of time. So only time I connect with you guys, where it's certain alignments. And all I know is that that the black hole sun phenomena, the solar eclipse thing, is real. Because I've been able to burst the sun to the point where I take photos, it blackens out everything else but the sun, and it becomes a pure light. It looks like pure light. Hey, what's up, Skull?
Hey, Skull.
You took a mini nap.
Turn the light on.
You want some B&E for your morning? Some bacon and eggs?
Happy birthday, Captain Kirk.
I don't want to go all left field with the conversation, but Rex, your feed in your camera, the reflection off the glasses, it just looks 8-bit. It's like the most epic thing in the world. If you just look at it just looks 8-bit. The reflection off the glasses on your screen, it actually looks so epic. It's like you're just going to do a freestyle again.
It's kind of like Gendo Ikari.
Your quality may be better than ours, though.
No, it's not, dude. I just know how to hack it. I just know how to hack it in a little. You just have to alter it. You just know a technique to alter it. You just.
Oh man, NSA spying. They don't have anything on you, man. NSA spying. They're like, what is this?
Dude, you want to know the truth? I touched freaking. I went after Obama. I got so on his radar to the point where I tagged him in his Facebook page, and he knocked out my freaking internet for 2 weeks.
No
he's
way.
Constantly trolling me. Yeah, the CIA was up in my business. Yeah, and now he knows about me. He knows about me. And he knows what I do.
Obama opened your business. How do you handle Obama?
And that's why he's respected, dude. And I respect what he's capable of. I try to keep him cool. We have a truce. He doesn't destroy the free world, and I keep that. How's that?
Do you guys think he's the most disappointing president? I'm Canadian. Skull's Canadian too. I don't really know much about the politics there. I mean, we're always bombarded. We're always bombarded with American politics more than Canadian politics here. But I mean, you guys think he's disappointing?
all I know is this: like, I just don't want him to lose his cool and go like dictator full on like crazy. I just want him to stay
Did you guys
calm.
see him in between two ferns?
You know what? When it comes to politicians,
Yeah.
I feel sorry for them because ultimately, I think most of them, they're just people, and they get into these positions and they're driven by
They're good
like,
ambitions,
like
good hopes.
corporations that are real. They're like they can't meet. They're living entities. You know, they desire profit. They desire more land. They desire like a strategy game that's gotten out of control, and they can't help themselves. So like, if you make it as president of any country, all that force, all that want for money and need to like win and crush and thrive, it's just gonna crush any individual. I think.
Yeah, totally. Think about
Lord
an
of the
MMO.
Flies.
Think about an MMO where your persuasion, you're in an MMO and your persuasion meter is hit the roof. Your perfect persuasion when you're in this MMO. Everything else, your integrity, everything else is like, maybe the compassion and maybe like the need to do good things is up and like wanting to change things. But like your persuasion meter is way too much higher than your reasonable or skeptical or even just need to look at the world as it really is. You know, I think too many politicians, I don't know, they eat up the malarkey. They eat up the malarkey as it's the truth, and they never just take the time to just sit down and have an ayahuasca trip.
Well, they get reprogrammed because they get into those positions. You know, like a bunch of people, like as soon as he becomes president, a bunch of people show up and start telling him how it is over and over and over and over again until he starts saying it how it is they told him to say it. You know, and it's no other reason that like. And you think about it, you think, oh, well, it's like this rich guy who's making him do it, who's more... No, it's actually millions of people who have jobs with Nike and are still... And they really need that, like, even though they're getting paid really crappy, they really need that money anyways and are showing up to that work for that company. That is energy that's going towards pushing a politician to do the wrong thing. Because those countries are... Those companies are inherently evil, you know, but they're like... They become these monsters that are a conglomerate of all the desires of millions of human beings, and it's like it just gets translated to this like, oh well, you're sitting there and you're like, oh well, I'm the president now, and yeah, millions of people have shitty jobs, and you want to get them out of it, but they need those jobs so bad they keep showing up, so that energy just keeps rising up until this one guy at the top of a pyramid can look at you and just make you do anything.
Yeah, it's a bad paradox.
Yeah,
it's a bad paradox.
So, individuals have to start saying, okay, I can't feed into that energy because I'm creating that. I'm becoming part of that energy.
Zeros. It's not about, look, I got an idea. We have to corporatize ourselves and combat them. We have to provide the alternative.
That's what I was just about to say.
How do you beat business? You beat big business with your own business.
What those words stand for. Like, yeah, corporatize, but we have to use language. We have to use new language.
Brand ourselves. It's not just
we can't use war. You can't go to war anymore. That war has too much weight.
Alternative. We are providing an alternative. That's what it is. It's not war.
Right.
We are providing an alternative, and we have to brand ourselves to play their game, to beat them at their game. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm a hippie." It won't work. We have to like formally organize. Ash, you feel me?
The best part about it is that it's a creative process. So we all get to decide, like as long as we're shooting for the best thing, we should all be like creatively thinking of our own way to make it. You know,
right. That's what. That's
what
I
don't know. It's just creative energy. Give us that power. You know?
Well, that's what he's trying to say. Like, you know, we could, if we're complaining about this corporation, then what are you going to do to combat that? That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, you go to school. From an early age, they're telling you, all right, are you going to go to college? And then you have these choices, which is going to feed into them. You know what I mean? You're helping them out. So you have to find your own lane so we can even stuff out. That's pretty much the main goal.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, in this crazy age, you know, there was a time when they could three-dimensionally keep people blending their consciousness to become like these larger entities that could oppose them. You know, and normally that would like take the shape of like two armies, but now like I showed up like here today just to like be part of this thing that's forming that's going to be against them. You know, we're already doing it with the internet available. Bam, 7 people can
share ideas, get inspired by each other, and then go back into their lives. Like ways across the world. You guys are in Canada. I'm in Hawaii. That's in the middle of the Pacific, and there's guys in the United States. But yeah, we can do it intentionally, and we can start we can also pay attention to how they're forming. Culture happened accidentally a lot of the time in the past. And now we've gotten to this point where we understand that we create our own culture. So now we have to be careful about the cultures we're creating. And that's the thing. Like the last culture that is this thing we call Babylon is the culture that kind of fell into itself because of all these evolutionary things shelter, greed, fear, not understanding sexual impulses, that whole stuff. We can actually look back and see why we programmed ourselves the way we did. And now we've got to start going hey, we gotta deprogram all the bad stuff. We gotta get this stuff out. That's what
I think you're living in. I don't want to interrupt you, but I think you're living in an ideal world, and that doesn't. It's not. It's all pure. You're speaking purely from theoretically. It's not applicable. It's not practical if you do it like that. You have to ground it, and the practical is knowing that this is the thing. We have to accept that there's a possibility that all the things that we hope for cannot be achieved in this lifetime, in this period, but we have to make sacrifices. However, we can plant the seeds of our freedom, our liberation, our mutual liberation.
I understand that, and that's why I keep saying words like love, harmony, truth, justice. I don't know how quickly it's going to happen. I don't know when this thing's all going to take off and be
You're not alone, Zeros. Zeros, you're not alone.
Exactly. These positive emotions, stand for. It's so much better in every single moment to say the word love, say the word fear or scarcity. Say love, and that's how we. Vibrating. World to turn into.
And that sexual energy in here. Skull, wake up.
What? Dude, it's like 3 a.m., man. I was just waiting for a chance to let you guys know that I'll have to turn off the live broadcast soon.
Go ahead and turn it off. We can still carry this conversation.
Oh, I know you can. Yeah. But there's 6 people watching right now who are watching it live, so.
Oh, shit.
It's gonna end itself soon, anyways, because it's been almost going for 5 hours. So you guys only have 5 minutes.
All right, let's wrap it up then. Anyone want to say anything officially? Yeah, Captain Kirk's tired. Let him rest, man.
Oh man, it was because I fell asleep listening to you guys. I kept the volume up, and then I went to sleep, and then I was still listening to my sleep, and then it infiltrated my dreams. So, good job.
All right. Captain needs rest, bro. It's all good.
Hey,
we
we're
can carry
all
this
captains.
conversation next week. No, I know.
All right, well, wrap it up. I'll get a couple more minutes. If you got any.
All right. Okay. Anyone? Oh, how about you just lead us out with a meditation so we can cool down the energy,
Me?
Yeah, bro.
Dude, I would fall asleep.
Fall asleep.
That's your meditation. Go fall asleep.
Go fall asleep. I feel kind of tired too, actually.
Yeah,
Anyone
I'm too
else?
tired right now.
Ash, you have anything you want to say? You have anything you want to say before we officially go off the air?
No, I mean, I just enjoyed this. You know what I mean?
Gotta catch 'em all.
This is all right. I just enjoyed the conversation. It was really good. So.
This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Oh. High five, guys. Oh, high five.
Yeah, high five, guys.
Yeah.
Alright.
Cool. Alright, well, I think that you guys did a pretty good job, so we'll end the live broadcast, so you guys can join me in saying goodbye to the internet. So, good night, internets, wherever you are. So,
good night, internet dudes.
Thanks for watching. Alright, one love. Bye.